Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for His blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islamism without the schism. We want to rise upon the 7 and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to His holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazz El. And my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawar Minchi El Muhajjid Shepsewell. We have a grand drawing to bring forth this morning, Moorish kin, in this E.A.R.S class. Very powerful drawing. We have the scribes on deck, and they got some grand measures to bring forth in this lesson and blessing this morning. So what we want to do is we want to call forth our beloved brother and scribe, Dr. Marvin Nathaniel Edwards Bey. So we ask that you open up your hearts and minds as he open up the way. Islamism.
Islam, family, and rising on the 7th within the circle of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Giving all praise to the great God Allah, highest honors to His prophet, and honors to our Moorish American government and everything that is Moorish. And all within the realm of my voice, and honors to our instructor and host, our National Assistant Grange, Chica Moorish America. And I'll begin with our Matthew at the Moorish American prayer and open up the way. Ya Allah amnuheru mekunataru. Ya Allah abhetheru. Ya Allah ma'atheru. Ya Allah hotepheru. Ya Allah heru. Ya Allah ma'at herkuti. Ya Allah awahjet dejuti. Ya Allah patem sutek. Patem heru. Ya Allah batmaduti. Allah has his way up to Ali. Amen. Hallelujah. In transliteration, O Allah, the Father of the universe, O Allah, the Father of love, O Allah, the Spirit of truth, O Allah, the Spirit of peace, O Allah, the Spirit of freedom, O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector, my guide, and my salvation. O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, through Ali. Amen. Holy Yissa, Holy Yissa, Holy Yissa. And now I will be reading our divine constitution of Morse America. Salvation, our God, unity. The divine constitution of Morse America, Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of Morse America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Morse America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known for the citizens of Morse America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of North America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Morse American, you are a part and a parcel of the government and must live life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Morse America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful husband. You must support your wife and cure the wife. You must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the lifting of fallen humanity. All Muslim Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessing be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution of North America. Now this meeting have been opened according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And I will now hand this over to our National Grand Secretary of South Carolina, Dr. Denja Ani of Curtis Bay. Islam.
Islam, God man. Gratitude, gratitude. I am Dr. Dendra Ani Akurta Bay, and first let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act 1. I give honors to all my government officials, and I give honors to our National Assistant Grand Sheik for this wonderful research class this morning. And I give honors to our Consul General of Texas, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, for opening us up according to law. And I will be reading our chapter of the week, chapter 54, coming from our Holy Quran. and it reads, Holy Instructions from the Prophet, Charity. Happy is the man who has sown in his breast the seeds of benevolence. The product thereof shall be charity and love. From the fountain of his heart shall rise rivers of goodness, and the streams shall overflow for the benefit of mankind. He assisteth the poor in their trouble. He rejoiceth in furthering the prosperity of all men. He censureth not his neighbor. He believeth not the tales of envy and malevolence, neither repeateth he their slander. He forgiveth the injuries of men, he wipeth them from his remembrance. Revenge and malice have no place in his heart. For evil he returneth not evil. He hateth not even his enemies, but requiteth their injustice with a friendly admonition. Grief and anxieties of men excite his compassion. He endeavors to alleviate the weight of their misfortune, and the pleasure of success rewardeth his labor. He cometh the fury. He healeth the quarrels of angry men, and preventeth the mischief of strife and animosity. He promoteth in his neighborhood peace and goodwill, and his name is repeated with praise and benediction. Islam, Islam, Islam. I will now turn everything back over to our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Sadu Amiti El Mahedi Sepsuel. Are you there, God man?
Islamism, as
Is,
close as the love thought and everything the prophet brought.
is
Islam, gratitude. Well, let us rise again upon the seven and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah. And having already risen, we continue to rise in ascension and give praises to the great God Allah and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. That is, again, we give honors to you, Moorish kin, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. Once again, I am your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazel, and my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawal Mintiel Mohaji Shepsuel, and we have a grand drawing to bring to you this morning in this Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. This is lesson 7, E. We're dealing with the second Shat the Demotic, as many people know it by, and we have a grand drawing that will be coming forth from our scribes this morning in their investigation into the Rosetta Stone and other different measures when it comes to dealing with the Demotic. So we hope that our family is most definitely in tune and tuned in so that they can actually get some insight. And if you check in, be sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe so that our people can get this information. You know, the more that you thumb it up, the more that the people can see the thumbnail and the message grows. So please share this video, like the video, and subscribe to the video. And so we just say gratitude. And at this time, we gonna call 4 or 5 scribes and let them do what they do best. Islam scribes. Shemotepu, Unqua Jetsanel.
Islam,
Islamism.
Islamism. Oh, I guess I'll jump on out there. Let me hit present, share screen, and entire screen. Let's see, then hit share. All right, now I'm gonna pull up my homework. Let's see, where's it? There it is. 'Cause, 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 Can you see anything as of yet, Dr. Shaheed?
Yeah, we got you in the queue, sister. Let me get your view up here real quick. There you go.
Okay, okay. I guess let me make this a full screen. I know mine's usually come out kind of small, so I'm gonna blow it up. Is that any better, family? I can go up to 300. That's too.
Yeah, we got you. I mean, if you want to expand it, it wouldn't hurt, but yeah, we pretty much
You can see it.
yeah, we can see it. It's a little small, so you may want to blow it up a little bit.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah, so to make sure that it's legible to the people. You
One
know,
more. Is that good?
that's good right there. That's definitely good.
Okay. All right. Islam.
Islamism.
Islam, family. Uh, our assignment was to use our kutu to vet the Rosetta Stone in general, or any other demotic papyri of our choice, and we were to tell what we have discovered about Egypt under the rule of the Ptolemies. And then the number 2 was to emphasize how our people have been deceived as a result of Ptolemaic. And so what I did, family, is like he said, I went to our tool, and as you can see, this is the strip here. I mean the text right here, and let me go. Yeah, this is the BME A24 Rosetta Stone. It was founded in 1996 BCE in size. And what I did was I copied this. I went to the Rosetta Stone, and what I did was I picked out lines 5, 6, 7, and 8, and this is what I picked out here: lines 5, 6, 7, and 8, and of course 9 came on in there. That's the way I had to copy it. And what I was looking for is to see, like he said, to find, to see what to vet this stone, being that it was founded in 1996. And my first question was, dealing with the Rosetta Stone. This is my first time going into the study of the Rosetta Stone. So as I was doing my research, I'm learning and comprehending and understanding also, because I heard about the Rosetta Stone, but at the time that I heard about it, my mindset was not where it is now. And my mindset was not, okay, that's just something else they didn't discover, So that's where my mindset was. Didn't even have a clue about Ptolemy and how we have been deceived by the Europeans, and didn't have a clue. But now that I understanding how much deception has been out there in the length that they has gone to keep us in the dark. And so this is part of the Rosetta Stone right here. And let's see what I want to say about it. Yeah, like I said, I did lines 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then I went to the next part I went to was the actual strip right here. And as you can see right here, I hope y'all can see my cursor. That's supposedly to be the name Ptolemy. It's also over here on this line. His name is there. And what I discovered is his name is all through here. And here it is again. And then the next thing I did, I did the translation, did the translating from the German to the English, and those particular lines read like this, family. It says, to Memphis 4:5, on the feast of receiving the office of ruler from the hand of his father, which King Ptolemy, ever living, beloved of Ptah, the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, celebrating. And that's a parenthesis there. So you know that we learned last week that when you see parentheses, that's been added in. It say the priests who gathered in the temple of Memphis said, since King Ptolemy, ever living, the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, son of King Ptolemy, and then I went to the next line. And King Ptolemy, it said, and the queen Arsinoe, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but y'all forgive me if I'm not, who does much good to the gods who love their father, to the temples of Egypt, and to all who are under his kingship, being a god and son of God, and a goddess, being Horus, son who is like Isis, son of Osiris, who protected his father Osiris by being charitable to the gods. And since he has already given much money and much grain to the temple of Egypt, and he continues up there, he has already made many expeditions to establish peace in Egypt and to fortify the temples. And since he has already given the taxes to the entire army that was under his rule, and the taxes that existed in Egypt, he reduced them, he remitted them entirely, in order that the army and all other people might prosper during his time as king. And so, family, what I realized is what in those lines 5, 6, 7, and 8, he's inserting himself into the language. Let me scroll back down, and like I was showing you, this is the original strip right here, but it talks about, this is the and I'm not great at pronouncing these names over here, but as you can see, his name is placed in there, but that's not the original. That's not the original that our ancestors had. His name was not in there, and he's talking about how good he was to the people, how he is after the son of Ptah, the god, the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful. He's comparing himself to Ptah and talking about he is beloved of Ptah. And what I did, and since this came about in 1996, what I did to family, I'm saying, now he talking about how he's beloved of Ptah. He even mentioned basically Haru. I don't say Horus. Haru and Set. They say Isis, but I call them by their real name. And he mentioned them, and he wasn't even on the scene at the time these deities was present. And what I did, I went and looked up Ptah. Let me go up here. The god Ptah. Now this is a picture of Ptah right here. It says Ptah was the ancient Egyptian god of craftsmen, worshipped in Memphis since the Old Kingdom. He was said to be the creator of all things, including other creator gods. And It say, although poorly attested in the early Egyptian writing, Ptah was worshipped in Memphis since late prehistory. In addition to being one of the more central creator gods, he was also the patron of craftsmen and protector of Memphis. Throughout Egypt's long history, he absorbed the qualities of other gods and remained an important deity in the early Christian era. So this is a picture of Ptah, and I wanted to show you also this part right here when it's talking about Ptah. I wanted to pay a close attention to the dates, because I'm really concerned with the dates, since he talking about he was Ptah recognized him, and he was doing all this stuff during the time of Ptah. And it says, although Memphis was the administrative capital for most of Egypt's early history, it's a few inscriptions have been found in the city from this period. As a result, Ptah is seldom mentioned in writing until much later. The vast majority of early texts stem from Heliopolis, where Ra and the closely associated Atum were worshipped. But nevertheless, the people of Memphis and the surrounding area had the utmost regard for the ancient god. And then it says, this is what I really want y'all to see. The temple bearing his name mentioned above was one of the most distinguished features of the city. From the time of its founding, 3100 BC until 2440 BC, it was likely the largest settlement in the world, home to upward of 30,000 Memphite theology focused on the triad of Ptah, his wife Setmet, and their son Nefertim. Ptah was considered patron and protector of the city. So we can see that during the time of Ptah, they followed the Trinity, and also our family, I hope y'all can recognize too. You see the Trinity here where it say Ptah, his wife Setmet, and their son Nefertim. That's where they got that. They got that from the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost in the Trinity. They was copying the things that we did and trying to portray it as something that they came up with. But this is something that we were doing way back in the 3100 BC. We was doing this already. And so the next thing I did is I pulled up the Rosetta, the actual Rosetta Stone. And like I said, this is just so much information, because like I said, I never was interested in the Rosetta Stone. So I am thoroughly having fun, and I'm just like a child in a candy shop. I don't know where to go. It's just so much information, so much powerful, great information. I just didn't have time to just, because I read, and I read for comprehension. So I had to take my time and read, and just reading and studying and seeing how they went in and the things that they did. And even with this stone, I'm coming up with questions that I have. They saying that this stone comes from another larger piece of stone. And my question is, where is the other bigger piece of stone? I just got more questions and then answers as of right now, but I'm sure I will get them and studying about this Rosetta Stone, because like I said, I never was interested in this. But nevertheless, this is a picture of it, and as you can see, it's broke down into 3 parts. And what I did, I clicked on each one of I clicked on the number 1, this little pencil here, the number 2, the little pencil-like thing here, and the number 3. And here's what come up, family. It says this right here. This is the first section of the Rosetta Stone, and they say it contains 14 lines of Egyptian hieroglyphs discovered around 3100 BCE. Hieroglyphs are pictorial symbols used to write the ancient Egyptian language. Now it says, and this is an example of what's in that first section. All right, and it said it contains 14 lines of Egyptian hieroglyph. Now, when I went and I clicked on the little pencil type thing, and this come up. This is talking about the hieroglyph version. They are saying that this is Ptolemy's name written on that stone. They saying that this is what it looked like. And then what I did is I went to I clicked on the number 2, and this come up, the Demotic. It says the second section of the Rosetta Stone contains 32 lines in Demotic script. Demotic is a shorthand version of hieroglyphs that started gaining traction in Egypt in the 7th century BCE. Now, one of them it says got 14 lines. This one it says it's got 32 lines. Okay, and then as I continue to study, I guess I'm in my mind, I'm asking, how many lines is it? How many lines is this thing? But anyway, I clicked on the little pencil type thing, and this here right here, this is the Greek version of Ptolemy. In this is supposedly his name on that stone right here in red, as you can see. That's supposedly spelled Ptolemy, and it kind of looked like it. But anyway, and then the next one,
Islam, Sister Curta Bay.
yes, sir.
You know, I want you to stop right there real quick. Just, you know, we can actually see the Greek in here, you know, where it's talking about Ptolemy right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, in regards to dealing with this, I noticed the way they reading this is from left to right instead of right to left too.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see, because that symbol that looked like the N, that's the P, and
Right.
then you got the T. You can actually see it if you look close, and then you see the O, and then the Y look like it's upside down.
Mm-hmm. I
Then
see.
you see the E, obviously the M.
Mm-hmm.
And, the rest of the stuff, that's a long Y at the end, all them other letters to make up Y.
Right.
You know, but we can see what's going on there. I just wanted to say that.
It's gratitude for pointing that out. Yeah, exactly. Because we supposed to read it from left to right.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. And well, we supposed to read it from actually right to left. You know, they read it from left to right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so when we read language according to the ancestors, we always read toward the heart.
Right.
You
Okay.
know, in the West, they teach you to read away from the heart.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I get them backwards sometimes, but yes.
Yeah. And so we expect his name to be there in the particular document there. But when we go into, you know, what they're trying to speak of in the original transliteration, we see his name is just put there in parentheses.
Right.
Which means it was added. So
that's right.
You know, they replacing the name Ty in most cases with the name Ptolemy. A great deception. Oh, you got it, Goddess and Queen.
And then they try to associate the Ptolemy with Haru and Isis and Sa. And but anyway, moving right along. And then when I clicked on this one, this is the third portion of it. It's say ancient Greek, and it says the third section of the Rosetta Stone contains 53 lines in ancient Greek. So I guess my question is, how many? One place you say it's got 17, then it got however many, now it's got 53. So I just still got questions about the whole Rosetta Stone, like I say, because this is new for me to even embark on this. And I give the great God a lot of praises to be a part of this class and to be a part of this higher learning. Because like I said, I've always heard about the Rosetta Stone, but I never really delved in it to do any research on it. And here I am on October the 1st, 2023, delving into learning about the Rosetta Stone at my age. But I'm enjoying every minute of it, y'all. It's fun, and I'm learning as I go. And as my Moorish kin out there in YouTube or whatever, I'm learning right along with you all. So bear with me, Islam. And so this is the third section of that Rosetta Stone. And this was I copied this to say it says what is, I thought it was very interesting reading. It says, what is the Rosetta Stone? It says the Rosetta Stone is a fragment of a larger slab erect at an Egyptian temple in 196 BCE. It said during the reign of Ptolemy the fifth, a Ptolemaic king of Macedonia, Greek ancestry. Its surface is inscribed with a decree issued by a council of Egyptian priests on the anniversary of Ptolemy's coronation. Despite the stone's later significance, the text itself is relatively mundane, listing the king's accomplishments before reminding readers of his divinity and affirming his royal code. And then it says, read the full decree. And you could read about that whole decree. You had to click on there. I didn't try to pull it up. And you can read about that whole decree in English. And it says the priests conclude their message by ordering that the decree be inscribed on stelae in the writing of the words of the gods and the writing of the books and in the writing of the Greeks. These copies in turn were distributed at temples across the kingdom. So they spreading this propaganda that Ptolemy is that he is all let me see, that he is all in a part of our in our history, and he is not. And I thought I had some more. I guess that's all I had. And then it says emphasize. Our national assistant grant, she asked us to emphasize how people have been deceived as a result of all of this, and our people have definitely been deceived about Ptolemy and his role that he played in history, and when you even with this information where it came into existence in 196. Well, we already know that the European is only approximately about 6,000 years old. So, and then when I started looking up about Tar, and Tar goes back to 3,100 years BC. I mean, how do you correlate that to say that he? How can you? I don't understand how you can even comprehend putting it together, because it's such a big gap. Ptolemy wasn't even in existence. And then when he say Islam, somebody saying something? Okay. But anyway, he was saying this deception, to me, Dr. Shaheed, goes deeper than just the alphabets. We have been deceived by the European, not only with the alphabet, but even in my passion is herb health and healing. And I see our people being deceived even in the healing aspects of our life, because what we do is we take and we accept everything, the white coat, the ones who wear the white coat, the European doctors. We accept everything they say, hook, line, and sinker. We haven't did our research on us as a people, as the first people who discovered these alphabets and stuff. And as you can see, They did not discover anything. We are the one that gave the languages to the world. We are the one that gave civilization, God consciousness, the sciences. We are the one that did that. But as you can see here, what we are showing you is even with this Rosetta Stone, and they made such a big to-do over this Rosetta Stone, it's all he's talking about. He trying to make like he did all this good work in Egypt. He made like he did all this good for the people, and he didn't do anything. He didn't do none of this. If anything, he in another research, like I say, it was just so much. I didn't have time to just put all of it down. I read one reading where it was talked about how he went in and kill up the people and then distributed all the loot and stuff amongst the people and stuff. It's just amazing how they are trying to put themselves into history, because everywhere you dig, they are nowhere to be found. They are inserting themselves, as you can see in some of my slides, how they was not there in the original text. Their name has been inserted, and when you see them brackets or parentheses, like Dr. Shaheed told us, that's something that has been added to. That's been added to the text, and going back to the deception, emphasizing the deception of our people. See, our people, like I said, this not only affects us during the alphabets, how they've been deceiving us with the alphabets. They've been deceiving us in every area of our life, no matter what area it is, whether it's healing, like I say, and I'm watching the healing part. Our people are so caught up, they don't even take time to study themselves. We are a holistic people, and we are to take herbs and things. I'm not saying for you not to go to the doctor. I'm just saying study your body, and I'm just saying don't take everything the European tell you, because they are not, as long as you've been here, they don't even have a cure for the common cold yet. So they are not trying to cure you, family. They are band-aiding you up, patching you up so you can keep coming back to them. And this started with the alphabet, them tricking us, bamboozling us, and running amok with us in our thinking concerning anything that we go at. They got their hand in it. But I challenge each and every one of you, do your research, even in when it comes to healing your body. Don't just accept what they say as law. Do your research. Don't just take their definition, because most of the time, the majority of the time, the whole healthcare system, and I'm doing my research on that too, the whole healthcare system is designed to keep you coming back to them. It's not designed to heal you. So, Dr. Shaheed, that's all I have. And I hope I did what you asked us to do. So, do you have any questions, or do you want?
No, you did a good job, sister. You did great, and you gave a grand portion, Scribes.
Yeah.
So it's a powerful measure just to sit here and sit at the feet of the wisdom that you brought forth.
So I can stop sharing my screen then?
Oh yeah, all is well. Grand job, grand work.
Okay. All right. It's long. Whew. I'm sweating over here. But it was just so much, Dr. Shaheed. I just didn't have time to put everything. I mean, it's just so much out there how they just lied. They just lied, and we got the proof now. Documentation is beating their conversation. We're waking up, and our people are waking up. They lied to you. We've been lied to. Christianity, that was a lie. The Jesus, that was a lie. I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm having fun. And as I do my research, especially with this Rosetta Stone, gratitude, God, man, for doing this, because like I said, I never even thought about the Rosetta Stones. I heard about it and just brushed it off. But Allah got a way of doing things, and He's the best of planning. So gratitude, Dr. Shaheed, for causing us to study these different elements to show us how we've been tricked, bamboozled, and run amok by them Europeans. Islam, gratitude, family, peace, and love.
Islamism and led us straight to. We give honors to you, goddess and queen, for that draw. And want to give honors to our family checking in, Brother Cameron, Man Bay, Yakub, El Hamid Gamma Bay, Butt Naked Truth. We give honors to all of you. And be sure to hit that like button, family. Share it. And if you ain't already subscribed, subscribe. Follow me. I'm gonna follow you back. And it's a grand drawing, family. We want to make sure our people get this truth. So yeah, all of that. We honor you for your contributions as well. Just being present. So all right. Next scribe. Oh man, we're gonna keep it moving. Islam, Brother Marvin Nathaniel Evans Bay. Yes, sir.
I'm gratitude. Oh yeah, I'm Dr. Marvin Evans Bay, Consul General of the Texas Consul. Praise and honors have been given. Praise and honor to it. Well, I bring forth what I have. I didn't, I didn't have the time to put forth the effort that's truly needed. I mean, because just you know, like the guy was saying, when we begin to start the research, we see how magnanimous it is, because they had to fool the world, and so let me go ahead and bring up what have I got. Man, everything seems to have changed on this. I've been using it so long. Let's see now. Share. Got it. Okay. Gonna bring up this. Okay. Do you see my screen or not? Islam?
Yes, sir. We got you in the queue, brother.
Okay. All right. Okay. This is our Swift Angel symbol. And going to the assignment. Islam is a Muslim's assignment of our homework will consist of, and I did change a couple words. Okay, use the occult tool. I put the GPTP to vet the Rosetta Stone in general or any other demonic papering of your choice. Demonstrate what you have discovered about Egypt under the rule of the Ptolemies. And two, emphasize how our people have been deceived because of the Ptolemaic usurpation of Kemet through the degrees forced upon the indigenous natives of Kemet. And so basically, on this one, what I did was I went into, let me go, here. Okay, this is like Dr. Ginger had brought on. This is the Demotic strip, and I got to this through that this tool here. You see the Rosetta Stone, so that's the one I pretty much came from, and this is the actual pepper. Okay, you see the demonic text, and like I said, given the time there's so much, that can be brought on concerning this, because this is the actual trans, this is the actual demotic text, that goes through what is contained. And below here, if I go all the way down, this is the transliteration into, the language. And further down, we have the German, um, Dutch um, translation of the text. And what I did was I did use um, Google Translate to translate the German interpretation into what we need. And I think I did like one. Hold on, let me just go to my demonstration. Like I said, I didn't have time, but I'm not gonna make excuses. This is what it is. So I copied that one. You know what I mean? Which um, oh, okay, which is translated into English, represents the regnal year 9, day 4, Xanthicos, Xanthicos, Canticos, however you want to pronounce that, which according to the Egyptian calendar corresponds to month 2, Ere, day 18 of the king, the youth who appeared as king in place of his father, the one of the Uraeans, his honor great, who has strengthened Egypt by making it beautiful, whose heart is charitable. And point here is that we're talking about the Rosetta Stone, and I referenced our good brother Mustafa Gadala, in chapter 9. He talks about, let me pull it up so I can read it. I had everything in order until presentation. Okay. All right. And coming from the chapter, multiple writing forms of the Rosetta Stone. And of course, I'm not going to read it all. I think I did copy this part. It said that the Rosetta Stone is a black granite tablet which was discovered in 1799 in Rosetta during Napoleon's expedition. Think that was significant. Notice that the discovery was, under Napoleon's watch, so to speak, in Egypt, and is now placed in the British Museum. And it goes on to talk about the measurements and all of that. And the stone was found built into a wall in an important Egyptian temple dedicated to Atum Atum, as is the case for all Egyptian temples. It was built a long time ago and went through reconstruction every few centuries. So all of these tombs, they were actually reconstructed. They took on a facelift, so to speak, or they were upgraded. What I mean? They were up. There was an upkeep of them. You know what I mean? Because over time things kind of erode, and so it goes on. Um, the latest of such reconstruction was during the time of the Egyptian pharaoh Necho, 672-664 BCE, about 500 years earlier than the falsified ascribed date for the Rosetta Stone by Western academia. And what I like about Mustafa Gadala, I mean, he continually um, reference how the Europeans, he speaks of them as the Western academia. These are the people that went into Egypt after it was overthrown, so to speak. And what they did, you know what I mean? And it was all in accordance with trying to make them appear to be, say, holy or divine. You know what I mean? Because when we look in our good brother Walter Williams' book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, it tells how during the different conferences, they had different, the Nicene Conference, you know what I mean? And the, what's the brother? I forgot his name right now. I should have had that book up so that I could refer to it. But continuing on, not to tarry too long, he talks about how they had these different conferences, and when they couldn't get what they wanted on the manifest, you know what I mean, they would go back and then they would continue to beat on our people, and they look for certain priests, because the priesthood was the original priesthood was what guarded all of our, say, education, all of our teachings. You know what I mean? Because it was sacred. You know, and then there was, that as it always is, one amongst us. You know what I mean? We call them Uncle Toms today. You know what I mean? A sellouts, or whatever you want to put it. You know what I mean? Because long as they can get something, some crumbs for themselves, you know what I mean? They'll do anything. You know what I mean? But so this is what happened during that time of when when what's his name, Alexander the Greek overthrew Egypt, and they came on the manifest, you know, and then they just ransacked our temples, our educational centers, you know, because we had them up and down the Nile, and you know, you can do your research on it. I can bring up some stuff to verify that, but I'm not, because I don't have the time at the present. But yeah, and so all of this was part of the grand scheme of deceiving the world. You know what I mean? To make themselves appear as though they had some divinity, which they didn't. You know what I mean? But and we can see it today. There's nothing divine about them. But you know, through our research here in our E.A.R.S class, and the task that was put before us by our instructor, we have to go into these things and you know, bring some physical proof, so to speak. And so um, so yeah, this was the first part of that demonstration. And let me go back to the actual tool. I mean, the actual paper, you know, or the rendition of it and the translation of it, you know. So I took, first one I showed was the one, which I really just highlighted it and copied it, and basically went into the here. This is a later one, which is 24. But I'll put that in here to show you exactly what I did, so anyone can actually go in and do this. Hold on. Paste it in there, and then it actually gives you the, you know, understanding of what the Germans was saying. You know, and another thing about this Rosetta Stone, as Mustafa Gadala was bringing on the manifest, that it was a decree. You know, what I mean, it was this was part of our culture that they did. Uh, they 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 put on the manifest of all of the temples a decree. You know, what I mean, and the decree is what I was trying to explain last night in my demonstration. It was an invocation. This first part, you know, they say there's three different parts of the um, Rosetta Stone. One was the hieroglyph, and in that hieroglyph was a decree. You know what I mean? It you know, just like here, it tells you like which according to the Egyptian calendar corresponds with the months two, you know, whose honor was great in one strengthened Egypt to make. See, they're venerating Ptah. You know what I mean? It was king. You know what I mean? Like Ray. So this is what is up, that whole stone was about. I mean, at least that part of it. Then they had the second part, which was demotic, you know what I mean, which was a cursive type of writing. Um, and the last part was, they call them uncials, but we call them paradigrams. They were the single letters, and it broke down, further, what the people was expected to do, what I mean, from this particular decree, you know. And so I think that was really the interesting part about it. And like, and I go back to Mustafa Dadala, and said, shameless change of the word priestly to Greek. This decree, like hundreds like it, is inscribed in three styles. And this was three styles of writing. It wasn't three different languages. It was in one language, Egyptian, but it was three styles of writing. The top register was hieroglyphs. The middle register was common cursive writing. And the bottom register, writing of the Greek, calling the third style of Greek is a lie. For according to Budge, even Budge himself in his book Rosetta Stone, Volume 1, page 167, Budge admits, but when allusion to Greek, the word used is called is a very old one and is in the dual Hayunebu, the germ H nebu, that is, lords of the north or lords of the marshes in the delta, occurs in the pyramid text. Bud admits that the term used was found in the pyramid text 3,000 years prior to the Greeks. Additionally, the Egyptian word does not say anything about marshes or north. It only and simply means priestly and is translated as such hundreds of times from Egyptian documents of all eras by the very same Western academia who wants to give a different meaning just the same time. You know, so it just shows how the Europeans went in and they did, you know, a lot of changes. I mean, they just, they talk about how they peppered the, okay, they peppered the text with Greek names, repeating a name or two over and over again, despite the fact that the text itself, according to their own interpretation, did not include such names. They put Ptolemaic names in place of the words such as Neter, Lord, Mighty, Lord of the Two Lands. Their so-called conjectural translations are more than fivefold the length of the text shown on the Rosetta Stone. There was too much added and padded to serve academia's bad intentions. Conjectural translation provided academics a perfect smokescreen for making up things. It is very important for colonial minded Western academia to show the supremacy of the European Greeks as masters of the non European Egyptians and how these Egyptians paid homage to their Greek masters, such as whitewash has nothing to do with, so when we look into this demonstration, okay, alright. Okay, yeah, this that 24. This was the transliteration, as they say, and this was the translation. What I mean, as they put it, and they shall place the ritual utensil before them, and they shall do for them the rest of the things. And they're explaining what it is that middle part is having the public to do. These are instructions for the public. You know what I mean? And for them, the rest of them that befit them to do according to what they do at the festivals and the processions on the said days, the other gods do. And they shall take the idol of King Ptolemy. And so this is where they have put it, King Ptolemy in there, which, it has already been explained how they weren't even on the scene when these decrees were put on the manifest, and the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, son of Ptolemy and Queen Esther. They never put a name of the lecture or the ruling pharaoh within these decrees. And so they just was wrong all the way. And so this is where the lie catches up with them. And this is what we're about in this um, Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class. And like, like I said, my time was limited, so I didn't get you a chance to do a whole lot. What I mean? But here's another one, um, number 32. This is the German interpretation of it. And what it says, as befits to do, and the decree shall be written on a stele of hard stone in hieroglyphs, Demotic, and Greek. Because we know, of course, Greek is in there. And it equals stele. So apparently they corrupted that to and stated the Greek shall be placed in the temples of the first, second, and third rank next to the statue of the ever living king. And so, so this is, my say brief evidence, and to show how the people have been deceived because of the Ptolemaic. So when they overthrow Egypt, they could do anything they want to do. They went into our temples and all our schools, educational um, facilities, and they stole and they took out and they destroyed what they didn't want to, they didn't have time to take. You know what I mean? And so this is what happened. So this is my emphasis on the deception of the Ptolemaic usurpation of Kemet through the decrees forced upon the indigenous natives of Kemet. And so this is what I have, God man. Gratitude for allowing me to share. And I will stop sharing and turn it over to the next guy. Islam.
Islam. And gratitude, Shimo Tepu family, Uncle Chanel. Very powerful measure, because in the last portion, it actually told you, the instructions that was given under those decrees. And remember, these were different decrees that were created during that time. It's letting you know that these decrees was created during that time. And this is why, our people have to get a comprehension, because by the very measure of Greek being in the document, we know it was from a later period. We know that this was from a time frame that goes beyond that of the ancient Kemites, even though they tried to superimpose themselves in the midst of using certain names such as Ta and Al-Sar and Al-Set, and so forth and so on, to legitimize themselves. It was one of the greatest aspects of deception that we can see even going on even today. This is the same thing that they've been doing with every other doctrine, like the biblical narrative, placing themselves there in every piece of literature. Pretty much they place themselves there as the HNIC, so to speak. So when you deal with that as special demonstration, we can see the deception. We can see what they was trying to do, and it's good that we able to look at it for what it is, at face value, and expose it. So gratitude, Brother Marvin Nathaniel was, baby. We give honors to your scribe for all the work you did and what you do and what you shall do. All right, Islam. We're going to call on our next scribe. Islamism. Islam, Grand National Secretary of the State. Islam.
Gratitude. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our E.A.R.S class, to our Consul General of Texas for opening our meeting according to law, to our National Assistant Grand Secretary of State, Dr. Dendra Nia Kurtabay, for reading our chapter to Act 1, and to our host, you, Dr. Shahid, for bringing forth and hosting this grand E.A.R.S class this morning. I'm going to share my screen. And giving honor to the scribes that brought forth their measures before me. Grand demonstrations. Gratitude. Can you
Hey,
see
we
my
got you.
screen?
Oh yeah, we got you in the queue, Grand National Secretary of
Praise
State,
the Lord.
Islam.
Islam. Oh, let me go back up at the top. I tell you, still critiquing this. This was a powerful assignment that was given by our National Assistant Grand Sheik to the Scribes, and I tell you, it opened up a whole nother paradigm shift, another door, because I had kind of skimmed over. I hadn't really gone in depth in reference to the Rosetta Stone. Even in the book Exhuming of a Nation, it spoke about Alexander the Greek. No, I'm not giving him that station of Alexander the Great, but because of being able to go into this Rosetta Stone coming from the Akul tool, then I had to go to a lot of different directions to even comprehend what was going on at that time, the history, and what was happening in Kemet. So our assignment used the Akul tool to vet the Rosetta Stone in general, or any other demotic papyri of your choice. Then tell us what you have discovered about Egypt under the rule of the Ptolemies, and emphasize how our people have been deceived as a result of Ptolemaic usurpation of Kemet, as a result of the decrees enforced upon the natives of Kemet. And that, just that in itself, is a powerful measure, Now, before I even got into the Akul tool, I'm like, okay, let me do a little bit of research about Rosetta Stone per se, and see what's out there. So they had it as a dark colored granodiorite stela. Of course, I had to look that up. It's like a different texture than granite. I have a little bit more minerals in it. And it stated it had the same text in three scripts: Demotic, Hieroglyphic, and Greek. And this is my note. The hieroglyphic is not a language, but anaglyphs. We're talking about pictorial forms and formulas describing metaphysical actions to denote person, places, or things. I got this in this E.A.R.S class, okay? So also still dealing with Google search. What's the difference between stela and stelae? Now, this is coming from ancient Kemet. This is the actual smaller picture of the Rosetta Stone. And this word stela dealing with, according to coming from Greek, shaft or pillar. The plural is stelae. It's a standing stone slab used in the ancient world primarily as a grave marker, but also for dedication, commemoration, and demarcation. Now, you already know we're familiar with the word demarcation. So I went the route of with demarcation. It's the action of fixing the boundaries or limits of something. And what better demonstration than this Rosetta Stone trying to fix the mindset of the people that the Greeks end all be all, come follow me. Demarcation of the maritime border, and similar words for demarcation: separation, distinction, that the Greeks sort of end all be all. Separation when it comes down to us from our history. Differentiation, division, delimitation, and marking off. That was so key for me. What does the Rosetta Stone actually say? And I can remember just yesterday in speaking to one of our scribes that, instead of going through Google Translate line by line, I would like to be able to see what it's talking about, just the whole thing. And that door was open, but we know that we cannot take what Rome says as verbatim, because our instructions in this class was to vet it. So it says, was the Rosetta found broken, which is what Dr. Dendra was speaking about, and it broke it down into the 14 lines in the hieroglyphic script, 32 in Demotic, 53 in ancient Greek. They're saying that portion is a surviving fragment. I don't know what happened to the rest of it. Okay, right. So and this also, I highlighted this because it said the inscription of the Rosetta Stone was passed by a council of priests. Ethereally, no, you conquered these people and told them what to do. So that was the first differentiation as far as coming out with a falsehood. And he was actually, some accounts say 12, others say 13, at the time of his coronation, Ptolemy V, in 196 BC. Okay. Now, this.
Wait a minute. Wait, wait a minute. Hold up, Granddad Sekhet. Did I
Yes.
just hear you say he was 15,
13.
13 par himself? Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, I gave it. And he over there ruling people and giving decrees.
Yeah, he was actually, they actually crowned him they actually said that he was ruler at 5, but they had, you know how you got those around him going to dictate, no, he ain't ready. We'll make it 12 or 13.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so he was doing this when he was a young whippersnapper, huh?
Yes.
He was
Yes.
putting these decrees out there. Goodness
Yes.
gracious. So this is telling us somebody lying.
Yes.
You know, what in the world you got a 13-year-old out here giving decrees over Kemet?
Yes. And
Goodness
see, then they
gracious.
want to look at our culture when we say man and woman at the age of 12 and think we psycho. Well, look at this. Okay. Ain't nobody
Oh
trying to hear
man.
that.
Goodness gracious. European, the only one that can be God in their adolescence,
Yes.
huh?
Yes. Yes. Woo. Then the other thing was I just pulled this highlight out. The Rosetta Stone is one of many mass-produced stelae designed to widely disseminate an agreement issued by a council of priests in 196 BC. So it was more than one. That's just like if you send an email to a group of people, hit the button and it goes and disperses out. That's the same that they did with this Rosetta Stone to make sure everybody under my control of the areas that we conquered, you going to get this message. Okay. Okay, now this is where I actually pulled it from the Aku tool that Dr. Edwards Bay pointed out in reference to. This is located in the British Museum, but there are other museums in other countries that have aspects of the Rosetta Stone as well. And we just showed you why. So now I went with line 29, 30, 31, and 32. Okay, this is the actual script, the demotic text, and the translation that's from German, and I went to English using Google Translate. Burnt offerings and drink offerings and all other things that are appropriate to do at the other festivals to be done monthly at the 2 festivals. What is offered as a sacrifice should be distributed to the people who serve in the temple. And a festival and a procession shall be celebrated in the temples and throughout all Egypt to King Ptolemy, the ever living, the appearing God. Now that's where okay, wait a minute. Now we know coming out of Kemet, yes. Like I'm telling you, I had so many red flags slapping me upside my head. The appearing God. So now we know, according to our ancestors, they recognize the universality of everything, that we're spirit and a part of the great God Allah. Everything is connected. Now, as is famous with Europeans, they will take the concept because they're looking at it from a finite mindset. So they're appearing God, they're looking at it on a manifest level only. They don't see the spiritual aspect of what our people lived and demonstrated. Okay. So this stuff about whose loving kindness is beautiful, it was so much hooey when it came down to, like kiss, 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 kiss. He's the great one, the greatest of all beings, and you're supposed to accept that. Now, line 30, 31, and 32, that's the demotic, the actual translation, and the Google Translate from German into English for these last 3 lines. During the first month of Shet for 5 days, wearing a garland and doing burnt offerings and drink offerings and such other things as befits them to do. The priests who are in the temples of Egypt, in every temple, they shall be called. Now they renaming the priests of the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, in addition to the other priestly titles. And they shall write it in all the records of the deeds. Now, before, let me back up here, because if you
Got them.
notice, yeah, you see this
They're telling
Haru.
you what they did, basically. They're
Yes,
telling you
yes,
that
that's
they was going to replace
HRU,
it.
Haru. What the goddess was speaking about, Netter. Okay, so they taking our gods, and this is what the actual demonstration is from our people. Now they ain't putting their own mess in this stuff, okay? And they shall write it in all the records of the deeds. And they shall write the office of the priest of the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, upon their rings and engrave it. Spread this knot all throughout. And it shall also, private individuals who desire it shall be permitted to cause such a golden shrine. That's our scribes brought that forth, of the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, mentioned above, to appear to be kept in their places. And they shall annually perform the festivals or processions, telling them how to celebrate. Just like, hey, we got Easter. Hey, we got Christmas. You going to demonstrate this. So that it may be known that those who are in Egypt honor the God who appears what they brought forth, whose loving kindness is beautiful. They still repeating the same demonstration. And the decree shall be written on a stele of hard stone in hieroglyphics, Demotic and Greek, and you gave us this demonstration on the parentheses, as Dr. Denver stated. That's something they inserting in there that wasn't there previously and didn't have to be. Shall be placed in the temples of the first, second, and third rank, next to the statue of the I'm guessing ever living or what have you. That got cut off. Now that translation by E. Wallace Budge, 1893, his translation of the Rosetta Stone. Okay. Again, I took this with a grain of salt because you already know that they're bringing forth this falsehood under their occupation of Kemet. Ptolemy V Epiphanes. I'm like, what in the world? Now, here in the English, epiphany is some, new thought or what have you. So, okay, I have to look that word up. And when I went to, now you see, this is where he made his name, try to put an Egyptian twist to it. Neteru, Maru, you see that M-R, Maru? I'm like, wait a minute. Atu, Setep, Pataz in there, okay, like our previous scribe stated. Yus, Raka, Ra, Ankh. You see Ra, you know what Ankh is, the living, okay? Ptolemy, the ever living. And you got Amen, Sekhet, which was also the wife, okay? So they remixing in this stuff. The beloved of Ptah, who maketh himself manifest. And it was so much drama going on in these Ptolemies because it was more than one. And they intermarried with, dealing with brother and sister and things of that nature. So I went down to the section where I had done from the Aku tool down with the, before I get to that. Now, in this section, the town of Sekhet, which was in the possession of the enemy. Now, these are the native Kemethians, and was provided with catapults and was made ready for war with weapons of every kind. Okay, now this is E. Wallace Budge interpretation. And then it goes on to the rebels who were in it. Now they had committed great acts of sacrilege in the land of Horus. And they had done injury to those who dwell in Egypt. Right. His Majesty attacked them by making a road to their town. Then he raised mounds or walls against them. He dug trenches, and whatsoever would lead him against them that he made. And he caused the canals which supplied the town with water to be blocked up, a thing which none of the kings who preceded him had ever been able to do before. Like they even had a thought on such a negative level. And he expended a large amount of money on carrying out the work. So he paying them to get ready to overthrow, okay? And his Majesty stationed infantry at the mouths of the canals in order to watch and to guard them against the extraordinary rise of the waters of the Nile, which took place in the 8th year of his reign, in the aforesaid canals which watered the fields and were unusually deep. His Majesty captured the town by assault in a very short time, and he cut to pieces the rebels who were therein, and he made an exceedingly great slaughter among them, even like unto that which Thoth and Horus, the son of Isis and the son of Osiris, made among those who rebelled them. Now you try to compare yourself.
Islam, Grand Secretary of State. Now here we go. Now, this is why I say throw the whole Rosetta Stone away.
Yes.
You know, these people literally boasting about cutting our people into pieces.
Yes. Yes.
But then they want to make a statement when it come down to dealing with the Moors. The Moors enslaved the people. We found out that's a lie because it was the Albidan, a so-called Tony or white Moors, as they like to call them, right? You know, and so they can take something like that and try to go against the Moorish paradigm. But here is a whole Rosetta Stone. A lot of them ain't really studied this Rosetta Stone in depth. We know that. A lot of these so-called chematologists and Egyptologists, none of them have studied this stone. And they are literally here telling you how they slaughtered our people. So they have a history of doing this right here.
Yes.
Gracious, man.
Yes.
Go ahead, Grand Secretary of State. Expose them.
Then it shows when they rebelled in this very place, and behold, those who had led on the soldiers and were at their head, and who had disturbed the borders. Remember when speaking about demarcation in the time of his father, and who had committed sacrilege in the temples when his majesty, speaking about the current Ptolemy V, came to Memphis to avenge his father. So that was his intent. You done killed my father, poor, whatever. So now I'm going to take y'all off the count. That's the intent right there. Then, okay, now these were the lines that I had done Google translate from German into English. Now, that doesn't match up with the Akul tool. So that's why I said we had to take what E. Wallace Budge said with a grain of salt. They talking about he set aside cloths, and you know how he is doing so much for Egypt and the priests, you know, the tax they were supposed to be due, but you know, I'm not going to deal with the tax or what have you, you know. Let me see. Yeah, in essence, he's showing how he's benefited Kemet, but that does not match up with what came out of the Akul tool. And he had respected the privileges of the temple. That we know as a falsehood, and have maintained them in a suitable manner according to what is customary and right. That's another falsehood. And he has spent both money and grain to no small amount. Yeah, because you're paying the army to take these people out. So, oh yeah, we repaired the shrines by, you know, you showed us the scratching out of certain areas in that Rosetta Stone, and you know, putting their own mess in there, like our previous scribe spoke about, you know, with the cartouche of his name. That mess did not exist. Okay, so now he talking about establishing to him and his children forever and ever with happy results or life. It just reminded me of how they wanted to, when our birth certificates put Negro black colored from the cradle to the grave, you know, for to be in a state of enslavement. Same thought pattern here. Now, Ptolemy, the savior of Egypt. Where have we seen this before? Interpretation, Ptolemy, the victorious one. So Europe is painting itself as, I'm the savior of Egypt, when there was nothing wrong with Egypt in the first place. You know, they're the ones that come in, starting with Alexander the Greek. And we see that Ka, Ta, in other words, Memphis. Now, a little further on, wait a minute. Establishing a shrine of the god, okay, still on this egotistical demonstration. The words in brackets, now this is the footnotes of E. Wallace Budge, are added either from the stele of Damanhur or for the purpose of making sense. How you gonna make this make sense? I'm sitting there like, wait, what? Now, my discovery after all that, Moorish Ken, my discovery about Egypt under the rule of the Ptolemies, Ptolemy the Fifth, Epiphanes, fifth king of Egypt's Ptolemaic period, by Jimmy Dunn, source material. And I just wanted to, wait a minute, because it's a whole lot of drama, killing, and all kinds of stuff. He took the Egyptian name, talking about Ptolemy the Fifth, and that's the name. You see that M-E-R, Meru, right in here, okay? Ankh and Amun, the same as his father, which means heir of the two beneficent gods chosen of Ptah, Powerful is the soul of Ra, living image of Amun. Had no clue they still is dealing with a finite mindset.
I want to know who told him Rod chose him.
Right. Then
Talk.
they had Islam. Yes, sir. Then they're going to say it's difficult to assess what sort of man Ptolemy V Epiphanes had become. Okay, we spoke about the revolt. He ended up passing form from what some say is poisoning, but a lot meant untimely deaths because everybody was about taking power. Now I'm gonna I have to look up this Ptolemaic cult of Alexander the Great because the Ptolemies followed this same pattern. And what they mean by cult is the Ptolemaic cult of Alexander the Great was an imperial cult in ancient Egypt during the Hellenistic period, dealing with Greece, promoted by the Ptolemaic dynasty. The core of the cult was the worship of the deified conqueror king Alexander the Great, who eventually formed the basis for the ruler cult of the Ptolemies themselves. So they followed after his example. The head priest of the imperial cult was the chief priest in the Ptolemaic kingdom. So in essence, I'm going to make myself a god that you can see, taking out the spirituality from, what our ancestors demonstrated. And the Ptolemaic dynasty based its own legitimacy in the eyes of its Greek subjects on their association with and incorporation into the imperial cult of Alexander the Great. His own imperial ambition. So again, the thought pattern was not to save anybody, but to promote themselves. Hold on, Moors. Because they also came with the right of conquest, which was another mind-blowing paradigm shift because they came with, here it is. All right. To legitimize his rule as Ptolemy, this is going back to Ptolemy I, they did the right of conquest. Now that was highlighted. So I'm going to say, what exactly is that? The right of conquest is a right of ownership to land after immediate possession via force of arms. It was recognized as a principle of international law that gradually deteriorated in significance until its prescription in the aftermath of World War II, following the concepts of crime against peace. Okay, so in essence, all members, now this is dealing with the UN now, bringing it more forward. All members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. But at the time of Ptolemy, they justified their right of conquest. Okay, proponents state that the right of conquest acknowledges the status quo and that denial of the right is meaningless unless one is able and willing to use military force to deny it. So if an oppressor comes in, takes your mess, ain't nothing you can do about it. This is Rome's law, okay? And further, the right was traditionally accepted because the conquering force, being by definition stronger than any lawfully entitled governance which it may have replaced, was therefore more likely to secure peace and stability for the people. What? And so the right of conquest legitimizes the conqueror toward that end. I'm like, drop the mic. Are you kidding me? And that's the principle that's still going on to this day and time. So this is what he looked like. I'm closing up, Moors, because like my Moorish scribe stated, this stuff was so much. That's the reign. I just went on past that. And I just made comments at the end in reference to, that hieroglyphics is not a language. Okay, the cult demonstration, we went over that. How that decree of Memphis 196 BC is also called the Rosetta Stone, and they were commanded the Commethian priests, not being their buddy. Okay. Ptolemy V took the throne at the age of 12 years. He also took on the attributes of God in human form, as did his predecessors, including Alexander the Greek. Our ancestors realized the God within themselves and honored a sacred kingship with a theocratic form of government. Now, comparing this to Western Freemasonry, where they took the tools in the workshop of the mind and put it on a finite level, that's the same when they call themselves God, but they were using a finite mindset, and the intent was not honorable. So that Epiphanes that I spoke about, added to his name, means manifest or earthbound thought pattern. That's my interpretation on it. And I also put in Comethnians or Moreau. They were handled with cruelty and death. Let me see. Okay. And yeah, the Rosetta Stone was duplicated and spread throughout the Ptolemaic territories for adherence to the new laws in place. Rosetta Stone was rich in promises and offered pleasure, joy, satisfying gain, but gave the Comethnians unrest, misery, and death at the hand of their oppressors. So that's my measure. Gratitude.
Yeah, all I can say is put the hammer, a repetition to the nails, and put them in the coffin. The same one they tried to put our ancestors in.
Islam.
You dig a ditch for one, you got to dig it for
That's
yourself.
right.
You know, and that's what they did. So we give honor to you. Go ahead, Sister Curtis Bay.
Before the goddess, before she put her, I tell you, she just made me. I had an epiphany when she was talking about, and it was just mind blowing for me when she was talking about dealing with that festival. And I don't know exactly who it was, goddess, and you don't have to try to find it. But you was talking about how they shall annually perform the festival. Performing annually every year. And what the light bulb went off in my head was that as they establishing Ptolemy as the god and as the king of that time, they want to do it every year. They were using the hammer of repetition. And then I thought about, just like they did us with this Christianity.
That's right.
Different children, them grow up, and then they pass that down to they little babies that's coming along. I'm like, oh my goodness. And so that lie is passed down from generation to generation. I just had to give you your props, goddess, because I tell you got my little mind just, I'm being blown away over here. That was so powerful. You made me think about that when you was talking about that, and I just had to let the people know what you said and how that just went off for me. I don't know about nobody else, but that was so powerful. And that's why this lie is so strong now, because it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation, just like we did with that Christianity. You don't question it no more because that's all you know. Oh man, this is such a power. Gratitude, God, man, for letting me share. You see how excited is love.
Now you see why I was up till 3. Oh my God. Yeah. Allah's due to praise. Gratitude.
Islam, man. Yeah, that's a powerful measure. We got our family up here. Made a grand drawing when you was demonstrating the brother butt naked truth. He said, according to Dr. John Jackson, E.A. Wallace Budge was a student of Jerry Massey. So I take E.A. Wallace Budge's words to be pretty good and sound and great research, sister. Now, one thing we can say about Wallace Budge, is that he admit that it was the demonologist, that was doing a lot of the translation from him in his preface of his dictionary. But he also admits that he was guessing at a lot of things too, and he demonstrated that in one portion the Grand Secretary of the State was speaking of. Also, our brother said, yes, the Greeks copied everything that the ancient Egyptian had already established, just as the Bible says that Satan would be like the Most High. The Most High is the ancient Egyptians, and basically, we demonstrated that I would be like the Most High. One's definitely trying to overthrow the original people that was there. And this is what we're trying to get our people to see, and so we have already exposed the hoax in what Champollion claims to be his decipherment. Although we know there will be those who will continue to embrace that as their reality. We have no problem with ones demonstrating whatever they think that they demonstrate, but the problem is that our ancient ancestors didn't do it that way. That's something that they can't prove. They cannot prove that our ancestors used that methodology, and the methodology that they came up with didn't exist during the time of the ancient Egyptian. That's just the truth. Nor did the alphabet chart exist during that time of the ancient Egyptians, because the Greek language didn't exist at that time. Nor did the Demotic or other measures that they try to bring on the manifest. So we give honors for all of that grand work. You most definitely brought it, Grand Secretary of the State, and I'm proud of all of the scribes, and we can only get greater, later, so to speak. So we definitely are on it though. So gratitude. At this time, I guess our beloved brother Bati Bey has a measure to bring forth for us.
Islam,
Grand Man.
Islam. First, I'd like to rise and give our man of praise to Allah, honors to the Prophet, honors to our theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, muftis, citizens alike. Honors to all the Moors that spoke before me, all the ones that will speak after, and honors to you, Dr. Shaheed, for this class. And, when I'm looking, it's crazy because I was searching for Rosetta Stone script, right? And let me see if no, I got it right here. All right, I was searching for a Rosetta, script that had the
Don't forget to share your screen, Grand Man.
translation, transliteration, and
You heard me, brother Bati Bey?
Islam. I'm doing it right now.
Okay, so the people can see what you get. Islam.
Am I sharing?
Let me see. I see it there now. It's down here in the bottom tab. There we go. All right, let me blow it up and emphasize it for you. There you go, Grand Man.
Oh, all right. And so I was going through looking at the script. See, and my mind starts breaking things down, and I couldn't find no script. When I got the assignment, I was searching for script after script after script. I went to our old tools, and I didn't see any tools, so I pulled this up. And after I pulled this up, I was already knowing that something had to be something that when I initially looked at this, the Rosetta Stone, that why would they have it in the hieroglyphs, then the what they call the pictograph cursive, or maybe the hieratic, and then later they had on the bottom was the Greek or whatever. And so I'm thinking that if this was if this was true on its face, that bottom portion would have probably been just open and blank. They probably would have just left that blank, because the Greek is the last, didn't start till the 21st dynasty. So if you're thinking about that, if you're thinking about that in figurative amount of time, the 21st dynasty, that's when Alexander and the whole Ptolemaic concept that I seen his name pop up, or that I see where it started, because of Alexander the Greek. And I went to that, and I started looking up books about the transliteration of what Ptolemy did with the Rosetta Stone. I couldn't find none. I see that they had this was from a book that cost $90,000, and I'm getting into all this because you're going to see the there's a distinct lie or something that's still being concealed by the information that they're putting out. And so then I started to investigate. I was like, well, how old is bath salt? Well, let's go look at where's the first time that bath salt was used at. And first thing I found out was that its origin is around where it's originated. It's around volcanoes. So then I was tracing. I said, well, where's the richest, the highest amount of bath salt at? And it named the United States, it named Ireland, and it named Hawaii. Those are the highest amount of where it says when I just looked it up, typed it into Google and pulled up. That's where it said one of the highest amount of was Iceland, Hawaii, and I think it might have been the United States. It might have been somewhere else. But it says that's where bath salt is. And bath salt is what the Rosetta Stone was written on. So then I remember I said, well, what was the capstone written on? The capstone was written in bath salt too. So that kind of balanced that out. And this is what I found for the Rosetta Stone. And I have some decipherment, but it all pulled together, and it kind of leads to what the scribes before me were saying. And this is something that when I was investigating information I found, it said because ancient Greek had been deciphered at the time of the Rosetta Stone. So if it says because ancient Greek had been deciphered at the time of Rosetta Stone, that means that stone discovery, that means that they still didn't really have a clear conception of what was put on before it. It was all guessing. And I'm gonna show you this document by the Department of Defense that speaks to the same creed that they really didn't know what they was talking about. But give me a second. And it says Rosetta Stone discovery. The scientists were eventually able to decipher the other two unknown scripts which contain the same text. It was discovered that the writing on the stone was decreed written in the year 196 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Ptolemy V. And that's kind of what the goddess, with her illustrious message, she put forth. So then I did this transliteration, and this just came off the hip because, again, I told you I couldn't find it. And then I started, I went to the DB tool, and I found this, which was off the 6th and the 7th. And this is the transliteration, and it says, he has already made many expenditures. And this is just an excerpt out of it, but it speaks to what everybody else was saying. He already made expenditures to restore rest in Egypt and to consolidate the temples. And there he has already endowed the whole army which was under his dominion, the taxes and duties which existed in Egypt. He reduced them, or he remitted them altogether in order to cause it to be given to the army. Now this sounds like right after the takeover. Right after the takeover, if he's restoring rest in Egypt. Well, what would you have to restore rest in Egypt for if it was already in its proper state, if it was already doing what it was doing? So this had to be after the hostile takeover, and as the guy that showed the murders and pillage and what have you after Alexander the Greek. This is another transliteration. I just pulled excerpts out, and it says, and the shares which belong to the gods of the vineyards. And again, when she was speaking to the Neteru, that the translation that they took the actual name of the deities out and put the gods in there, or the generalization of gods in there because of the takeover. It says of the vineyards and the orchards and all other things which they took possession of in the time of his father. Well, whose father were they talking about? They had to be talking about this Ptolemy, thinking that he was the son of Ptah. So to let them remain in their possession, he also ordered the priests not to be paid more than, and this just speaks to what everything that everybody else was saying on here. So now let me go to this document that was by the Department of Defense. Where is it at? Oh, Rosetta. This is it right here. And what killed me is that they said that he would, just to, I'm sitting over here laughing when she was bringing up the fact that they said that he came into the throne when he was 5 years old. And I'm sitting over here like, there's people that ain't even babies are just getting their phonetical, their verbiage together. They're just learning how to ask questions. So how could you have a baby, a 5-year-old get into a place of leadership by throne? And how did you inherit the throne if you weren't of African, of African ancestry? Well, it had to be through war. But even then, how would again, you're talking about a 5-year-old that came to the throne.
Brother Bati Bay, that's just an attack on the intellect. They want the people to believe our ancestors couldn't defeat a 5-year-old. When it comes to the European thought.
That's crazy. So this is the document from the Department of Defense, and I'm gonna go down and read it later. It says Ptolemy, with whom we are principally concerned, is Ptolemy V. He was 5 years old when he ascended to the throne, and I was four years old. And this is the person that the guy that was going over the Rosetta Stone from the Department of Defense. It says and I was 4 years old when I first set foot on American shores. So you can see the similarities. Moreover, one of the Ptolemies, Ptolemy the 9th or Ptolemy the 11th, was known by the nickname of Ptolemy Alutus, which Ptolemy the flute player, and so on. In addition to all of the foregoing, I had the thrill of actually touching the Rosetta Stone. Now I'm gonna go down to this part because this is more important than what I just wanted to show, that they actually said the dude was 5 when he got to the throne. That's primarily backing up the guy's information. Not that she needed it, but still. Champollion asked Fourier whether anyone had succeeded in deciphering the hieroglyphs, and upon receiving a negative answer, he announced, "I'm going to decipher them when I am big." So this is still talking to when he was an adolescent. This says encountered the 10-year-old Champollion in his noble school and was immediately impressed with the lad's superior knowledge. Now, we don't know how superior his knowledge was if you got to maim, murder, and do all that stuff. It says, thus began a lifelong fever and dedication to the part of this intense youth whose oriental-looking eyes and swallow complexion later gave him nickname the Egyptian. So that means he had to have some hue to him. But this depiction in the picture that they show is he's hueless. And it could be because he got tan, but even then, I don't think that would really speak to him being or Egyptians, or maybe during the Egyptians at that time, the Ptolemies, or the what they call the other group the Mesopotamians. He may have that type of hue in his skin, but anyways, in order to prepare himself for the pursuit of his ambition, he felt he first had to arm himself with all necessary background knowledge. When he was 13, he began to learn Arabic, Syrian, Persian, Chaldean, Sanskrit, and finally Coptic, which was the only languages providing a link to Old Egyptian. At the age of 16, he drew up the first historical chart of the kingdom of the pharaohs using spotty Arabic, Latin, and Hebraic texts and comparisons with the Coptic. And when he was asked by his school to write a paper on the subject of his own choosing, he drafted an outline of and book, Egyptian under the Pharaohs. Now, if he had all that knowledge about the languages, do you not think that he would be able to decipher he would be able to see that the hieroglyphs wasn't the language, and that the language that he wouldn't need them to really transliterate, because a lot of the Coptic transferred from the Hieratic and to the Demotic, and all those are kind of linked. So he would be able to have that phonetical understanding to decipher and actually bring forth conscious information as opposed to him guessing. Well, let's go further on and see what this is, because this is going to expose him even more. It says the undeniable promise of the future scholarship. Yeah, when Champollion was 17, he was taken by his brother to Paris to study under Sylvestre de Sassy, a Figeac former teacher. De Sassy saw the boy's genius, and disliked him from the start. Although it was he who first acquainted Champollion with the Rosetta Stone, he tried to dissuade him from attempting to decipher the hieroglyphics. In Paris, Champollion immersed himself in the studies and was able, through the intercession of his brother, to escape Napoleon's draft. Nevertheless, Champollion got into hot water with the authorities over his political conviction, and for a year and a half was banned from the university for traitorous activities. Okay, now I'm going to jump down a little bit more. If I can get down there. It says, in the meantime, Champollion had tackled the Rosetta Stone without much success, since he had under the initial conviction that the hieroglyphs represented things and concepts and not sounds. So in his initial understanding, he knew that they were things that you were supposed to ponder, a concept. But
that's because he was going with the opinion of Horopolo at the time. He took some of Horopolo's work, even said he was correct in that, in some of his stuff. Because remember, Horopolo came up with meanings and didn't have no dictionary or none of that right there. That was right. That's considered right and correct to this day. So if he was correct, then why he couldn't continue to be correct?
Exactly.
After Champollion got done. Go ahead, brother.
And it says, however, on December 21st, 1821, when he encountered the hieroglyphs and found there were 1,419 of them, as compared with the 486 words in the Greek text, he realized that the hieroglyphs had to represent alphabetic or phonetic elements, which I don't understand how he just because and you had to think that if 1,419 of them, it really wasn't an alphabet, because we know most abjads are like 26 to 30 something letters, and that's including the vowels. So we know that's if it's 14, and it had to be he's trying to equate it to being a language. It couldn't have been a language. You know what I'm saying? It couldn't have been it could be, to me, my logic and what we study, I can't see that 1,400 characters, 1,419, characters or whatever, or hieroglyphs, equates to that being alphabet. That's too many. You know how many combination of words you can get out of combining the, you know what I'm saying? Which doesn't really make sense to me when you look at the abjad of all other the alphabets of all other languages, so to speak. And so that's, I have anything else on. And then when I start to look at the where is it at? Right here. When I started to look at it, say that the what they said Ptolemy, and they put the hieroglyphs up here, and that's a picture that I took on the thing, but I deleted it because I was going to go through and cipher each one, and they say that this represents Ptolemy. It says A right here. This represents Ptolemy, and this represents Cleopatra. But when you look at the alphabet, and this being representation of a Z, I'm trying to figure out how Z phonetically transfers to any other letters in Ptolemy's name. I don't see it, and so this being, if this is his name, that's something that out of their interpretation of what the hieroglyphs is, they can paint the picture as how they see it, because this is from his decipherment. And then when you see the Alexander, who brought in the Ptolemaic usurpation, that's where you get this whole Cleopatra and Ptolemy, when they were never written into it, because they say they just deciphered the Greek at the point of time when they discovered when the Rosetta Stones were I think or created or uncovered. I said it earlier on when I just read it. So one of the biggest things that I see is that through all these scripts from the Rosetta Stone that Champollion have put into a book form and sold to the people were them just passing the torch of oppression down the line. That's all it was. And the more they told a lie over the season, then it carries some type of weight because now you get rid of all the actual knowledge and you're only left with this until you go back further than what they're not from what they deciphered. So that's what I got out of my that's what I got from my research on this.
Islam. And yeah, drop that PDF too in the bike chat too, brother, the link to it. And yeah, the question I've been asking is
you talking about this Rosetta Stone?
Yeah, the PDF you just had.
Yeah.
And Champollion, I asked the question, where is his dictionary? His so-called Coptic dictionary that he's supposed to have. They've been hiding that. And looked like you said they had a work up there they was trying to sell for $90,000 or something like that, brother.
Yes, they tried to sell. He got a book, and it's really just I was on Google Books trying to find some the actual text, and it only brought up what he had scribbled out, and it looks like his notes, and they're selling it on there for $90,000. So
yeah, they got book out there wrote on a lot of his little diary that he kept out there. They got one of them out there already, and I guess they trying to market it somewhere else for even more. And it's crazy. Everything the European put value on, they can make it a collector's item, so to speak. It's crazy how they can do that. It make you wonder. They put value on the thing, they say that's what it is, and then people pay for it. It's a terrible situation. I want to give honors to all the scribes, though, for the great work that you all have done, most definitely, in this especially draw. And this is a powerful, powerful measure, family. All of you did a grand job, and what I want to do, I'm going to share something with our family right here so that they can see real quick, and then we're going to open up the floor, because I had put this out here a while back, and I just want to show this right here because this explains everything in a nutshell. And if you look at this collage that I put together with certain measures in here, I say the Moorish American is the secret of the 33rd degree, meaning what they was trying to bury us at. Remember the Grand Secretary of the State put that stele out there and showed you what it meant, and it ain't strange that these things basically represent headstones. They lay. So the Rosetta Stone is basically the stone that represent that in which our ancient ancestors are buried under. It's the headstone over the shallow grave that was created by the Ptolemies, basically. And so I show the 33rd Egyptian dynasty, which is the Ptolemy. It's the 33rd dynasty. The last living pharaoh that ruled there, you have to remember, was 360 BC. So when we cut into that rule by 30 years, it becomes 330 BC. And this is where your Alexander the Greek comes in there and began to lay the foundation for the overthrow of ancient Kemet. And then the Ptolemies followed that up, and they term Ptolemy basically was really a replacement title for the word, Per'a, or what we call federal. So this is why it was Ptolemy this and Ptolemy that and Ptolemy this and Ptolemy that and so forth and so on. So this is basically something else, because around the time when Napoleon came in there, we already know he actually was the one that brought masonry into Egypt. And the people that he brought there, the scientists, were those who was pushing, the concept of the Hermetic hypotheses and so forth and so on. Basically during that time. So when you see you know, this 33rd concept, you see what happened. And then you can also see where our people get overthrown. And so you see over here where I say over 3,000 Islam
Hard to
Grand
sell.
Secretary of
Can't
State.
see. Can't.
Oh,
Can you make it bigger?
oh,
Please.
my bad.
Hard to sell.
Okay, there we go. I'm glad you
Yay.
told me, Grand Secretary of State. All right. Yeah, so there we go. And we just getting ready to get into it. So like I said, it says over a 3,000 year period. You know, these are just notes that I took. You know, ancient Egypt was ruled by 33 different dynasties, right? It says the time period. Ptolemaic period 332 to 330 BC. Egypt is ruled by people of Greek and Macedonian descent. You see? And then it says the 32nd dynasty, Macedonian 332, 323 BC. Then you had the 33rd dynasty, Ptolemy, 323 to 330 BC. Events after the death of Alexander the Great, as they like to call him, the Greek. It says one of his generals, Ptolemy the first, seizes control of Egypt. We already know how they did it, you know, because the Grand Secretary of the State pointed it out. Many Greek and Macedonian settlers are recruited into the army and government. Greek culture is encouraged. So this is what took place in the beginning. You know, they began to build their army up and, you know, basically push the Greek culture into the paradigm. And then Egyptian cities and monuments are given Greek names. We've seen this. This is exactly what happened. This was the Greek mix. You see? We even see them saying that's what they was doing. So we ain't even assuming. We telling you exactly what they did. It says the Ptolemies are fascinated with Egyptian religion and culture. Pictures of the Ptolemies are made in Egyptian style. We showed you that. On numerous occasions, we showed you that. Ptolemaic rulers are looked upon as divine. Ptolemies follow the ancient Egyptian custom of rulers intermarrying within the family. Then it says many temples are built for the Egyptian gods. Greek gods become identified with Egyptian gods and are often combined. Egyptian gods are given Greek names. We know this to be a fact. We got proof of it. I got a whole different measure to prove that. You see, and so when people are going over there taking these tours, they need to know that they're going to temples that have been overthrown, you know, and basically remixed. And then they come up with their Greek restoration of these measures. And next thing you know, you don't even know what you're dealing with. You serving gods in whom you know nothing, so to speak. So it says under Ptolemy in Egypt, it says under the Ptolemy in Egypt seizes control of Judea for a time. It says there are power struggles within the Seleucid dynasty. Then it states Alexandria becomes a major city of trade, learning, and culture. The Library of Alexandria is built. The Pharaoh's Lighthouse of Alexandria is built 270 BC. You see, and we know that library was burned down. People look at it as if it was our library, but no, that was Alexander's library, and a lot of our stuff pretty much was held in there, somewhat like the Vatican demonstrates right now. You know, Egypt becomes very wealthy, but mostly benefits the monarchy and the Greek officials. Don't that sound familiar? Native Egyptians are heavily taxed and exploited. Don't that sound familiar? So when you look at the ones that are in that PDF our brother Bati Bay got, and they're studying this type of stuff, you know, at the level of officials over here, they learn how to implement those same tactics that was used during the time of Ptolemy. Think about it. The Ptolemies were able to come in and overthrow a civilization that had been on the manifest for 3,000 years in their rule. So, you know, under the concept of the art of war, they would basically be able to go into that particular document, study it, and then use the same methodology to conquer, you know, things. Notice how they cut the supply off, and basically starve the people out, before they begin to make their own slaughter, so to speak. You see, this is what they did. So here it says notes. It says, I have also included the name of queens, pharaohs, and their queens to place together in the ringing queens. And this was going into the site that we was dealing with, what this information is. But I put down here message to the black man for our people that like to use that terminology. Black, according to science, means death. Matthew 24:28, King James Version, for whithersoever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered together. You see, and if you look at the symbol here, you see the eagle looking in both directions, with the 33rd degree, capstone, and then you have the crown right here. You see, this is dealing with their so-called Scottish rites, So when you look at this, who is the carcass? The dead. And what are they doing? Feasting on the hearts and minds of our people. You see, here also, if you see, I put it in here, I got Napoleon right here, showing you what happened. Then I have right here, this is actually in the ceiling of the Grand Lodge of England, and look at the Moroccan flag right here with the eye there, this is showing you the same star that was placed upon the coffin on the African god man. Code name Hiram Abiff, and we already know where the acacia tree come from. It's indigenous to Africa. You see, that's why they have it at the head. So looking at all of this, we see how the overthrow in that 33rd dynasty, the Ptolemaic period, was the end of our 360 degrees of knowledge, because the last ruler, remember, ruled 360 BC, and the Ptolemies cut into that rule. You see, and notice they say they cut our people to pieces. We got people in there telling you what these people done, and people want to still use the Rosetta Stone, the champion Rosetta Stone, and the methodology of Champollion. These people are most definitely the enemies of our people. They're in opposition to them themselves, basically. So we're going to keep teaching the people the truth. We're going to keep exposing the truth. And I wanted to pull this up because the brother mentioned Ptolemy, of Aletes, and I want to show our people what he looked like, Brother Bati Bey, thank you. So here he is here.
The screen hasn't changed.
Oh, it didn't change? Okay, it says, let me stop sharing. I think it probably just shared the one thing, so I'm going to share the full screen here. Okay, thank you, brother, for giving me that insight as well. Okay, here we go. Now we good. So here he is right here. Here's Ptolemy of Aletes. I mean, you can see him right here. That's a European, phenotype right there. I mean, let's look at it for what it is. Now, here's one of those Ptolemaic statues that was mentioned there. Y'all know good and well. They make it look like it's ancient, but look at them phenotypes right there. You already know that ain't us. You see? They also had another expression of this same Ptolemy put here now in the I'm trying to blow it up and get it here. There you go, right there. And see, people don't even know. They go over there and go to thinking they looking at ancient Kemet. No, you looking at the Ptolemies right here. You know what I mean? Who is there to educate our people on this? Ain't nobody out here exposing this stuff. They'll get up there and go to teaching about this, and they talking about Macedonian pharaohs, and then it's being passed off as if it's the ancient ancestors. We got to put a stop to this. And the same thing can be said about this one, Theos Philopater. This is also a measure that's on a bas relief, and you see them right here giving offerings as the ancient Egyptian, but we can see the phenotype is different here, and this is the Ptolemies again. Many of our people don't know this. They think that everything they see inscribed, on those special temples were done by our ancestors. Here's another measure where they actually, here, look, taught Tehuti and Heru is supposed to be purified and Ptolemy. This is a coronation ceremony. And then we had a temple of Kumumbu, which we know is really the temple of Nut. I mean, Ptolemy wasn't nowhere around when Tehuti was on the manifest or Heru was on the manifest. So if they have done this in these areas, how much more is there that has been done this way that you haven't found out yet? There's a whole lot of it. Here you go right here. You know, remember, they were dealing with Sebek. They started the worship of the crocodile. You know, a lot of people don't know the original Sebek, you know, was not considered crocodile. Original Sebek was Heru. It was a form of Heru. So don't confuse the Sebek cult that was established, you know, by the Hyksos or the Hyksos that later became that in which the Ptolemies was also worshiping, that reptilian cult. Don't confuse that with the Heru cult dealing with Sebek or Sabaku. So see him right here again. That's the same thing. Another Ptolemy right there. You know, all throughout these temples, you know, we got to expose this madness. Look at him. Here it go again. That's another Ptolemy right there. Same Ptolemy, actually. You know, we even caught him in the act in these particular measures where they actually, you know, would chisel certain things out. Here's another one right here. This is Ptolemy. You know, you got to know what you're looking at. This is at the Pele Temple. Pele Temple was also one of the measures that Champollion used to do what he did. You know, a lot of time they would just chisel out the original features of the Kemites and remud over them. And then once they remud them, they would place themselves there. This is another measure here dealing with Ptolemy standing before all saw and all said in the temple of Denver. You know, which they took the original ceiling out of there, you know, again, and replaced it with another one. You see? So this is Ptolemy again. So all of the things that you think is ancient Kemet coming from our ancestors, you know, you got to really vet what it is you're looking at, or you can be very misled. You know, we see all of this right here, even right here. This is during the Ptolemaic dynasty. Like, man, come on. What more is there that we need? And no wonder why you get up here and see measures like this right here, Nefertiti. You see, and then you wonder, well, what is that? Where did that come from? Look here. Ptolemy even got their own Alsar. Look at that Ptolemaic. Look at them phenotypes there. That ain't Alsar from, that's a Ptolemaic version of Alsar. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man, stop playing.
So, Dr. Shaheed,
go ahead, Goddess and Queen.
So, if we was to take a tour over there, not this is what we'll see now.
Yeah, if you go into Kumumbu, but the main place, like where they didn't, they we'll say that's original, that's still standing, is what our chairman tell you about. The Temple of Luxor.
Right.
A lot of Luxor is basically in its original form. You know what I mean? And Abu Simbel, which wasn't fully completed.
Right.
But by the ancestors. But we just have to go into those areas. I mean, it ain't nothing wrong with going over there to look at this stuff here, but just know what you're looking at and don't promote this as being that which was established by the ancestors, because we know a lot of this is Ptolemaic here. But when we go into the aspect of dealing with, like I say, the Temple of Luxor, which the Europeans basically had copied off of, you know, that's more of our ancestors' work.
And if you don't know this teaching, what we are doing now, and if you don't know how Ptolemy then inserted himself into our, you could be taking a tour with somebody and they could be sincere, but they could be sincerely wrong.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Yeah,
I seen some of the brothers, you know, and I ain't gonna go at none of the elders right now, but I seen some of the brothers take people to temples,
Yeah.
that are Ptolemaic, and they're not explaining all the way in detail. They just trying to take them through the tour and show them certain things, but they're not telling them, that these are the Ptolemies. These people have remixed this. They have inserted themselves, and they ain't doing. That's a clear picture too of what I was showing about Sobek earlier.
Right.
With Ptolemy them right there. That's all from their particular time period.
Right.
Oh. And it's crazy because the more our people are misled and run amok and led astray, I mean, it's going to always be confusion when it comes to dealing with this. And those who are not willing to accept what's being said because they wasn't taught this by their teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So they believe that somebody is wrong because they don't want to learn. They stuck in where they are along the way,
That's right.
A lot of our people, they don't like to do in-depth research.
Right.
They like to read in a scanning way, like our Grand Secretary of the State would often say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's been taking us off. Here's another one of those temples I was telling you before where they had chiseled out certain aspects and then they just remud right over and put Ptolemaic images there.
Islam.
Yeah, this is what they would do. That was their methodology. They didn't have to go and carve everything original.
And Dr. Shahid, I know when I was doing my research, I read, and I should have took a picture of it. I ran across a picture of Ptolemy. They had plastered his nose, had him a big nose, and had him some big lips, and talking about, trying to make him have the features of our ancestors. And I'm like, anybody can see he ain't one of us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what people don't know is this is called Egyptomania. By those who are in the scholarly world. Right. Greco-Roman monuments, and they also refer to these glyphs here as pseudo-hieroglyphs. So how can you use a pseudo-hieroglyph,
right,
and say that you decipher something with something that's fake?
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Anything that came after the Kemites and was created by other cultures and other people are considered pseudo.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So our people just got to wake up.
That's right.
And stop playing. And if you want to really get involved with teaching our people, then get involved with teaching our people. Really become a part of the work of uplifting fallen humanity and exposing the Greek. If you don't have the strength in you or the fortitude in you to be able to get out here and do this type of work, then you might as well sit down over there and be quiet somewhere, and stop confusing and misleading the people, because it's actually hurting our people. Look at this. Good and well, that ain't no goddess from our people. This Cleopatra version here. Look here. Then they try to make them dark, but then still give them that European phenotype. Just like you were saying that you seen them try to do with the bust they was creating at Ptolemy. But we already know who these people is. You can't deceive us. We got the whole drawing on the whole priesthood. Name by name, we went in here and already fact checked and vetted who these people are. And this is what they look like. So, and they made themselves the God. They made themselves the God, family. These are all your Ptolemies here now. So when you're dealing with them Ptolemaic monuments and Ptolemaic pharaohs, these are the people that overthrowed your ancestors and made themselves the gods. Now, what you gonna do about it? See it right there, King of Egypt, a pantheon. They got their own pantheon. It's a Ptolemaic pantheon. Yeah, it's terrible. But with that being said, let me stop sharing my screen here. We're gonna open up the floor for our Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Shepsu Rakat Ma'at and Putut the Common Bay, Islam.
Islam, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Islam Moorish Ken, having already risen, giving praise and honor we're due to our scribes, to Act One, to our family online. I just want to give praises to Allah and honor to our prophet, to you, Dr. Shahid, our host of this E.A.R.S class this afternoon. It has been such a enlightening demonstration from all of our scribes, because every piece is key in us being able to exhume, our history, our language, etc. And it's just fascinating from a historical standpoint, as far as what we have brought to the table, the lengths and depths to what Rome will go through to maintain that illusion, because they're master illusionists of power. And it's through pillage, destruction, torture, whatever vehicle that they wanted to use to take the land, bury the minds of the people in falsehood. So after several hundred years and things of that nature, you assume that what has been brought to you is what is correct and true. So this is why, when our prophet tells us to deal with the study of the self, in order to demonstrate it from a holistic aspect, you got to take into research the sciences, the cosmos, DNA, crystal. Is just so many things that we don't have time to, deal with foolishness and folly, because we don't want, like when we came here on these shores, at this particular point in time, this new era of time, I can remember asking the question, well, you mean to tell me nobody knew about this, and wondering how come I wasn't taught? So you want for your brother or sister what you want for yourself. So you don't want the next generations to have to go through, well, what did you do when you had the key in your hand or the pen in your hand? What you do, just sit on the sidelines, or you want to pick up the keys of civilization, make it a part of yourself, and disseminate these truths the same way that Rome disseminated? Well, I'm going to make sure all my territories have this information and you better follow it. But the thing is, our people embodied love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and you cannot banish or bury the truth. Neither can you do that when it comes down to love divine. So this is not a dead language. This is not a dead people. And we have been given the charge to teach our people, putting them, restoring back to that which was lost but for a moment. So, because all truth is one. So gratitude more for sending this assignment out, because it causes us to go even deeper and have a better perspective of exactly what it is that we're dealing with, and be able to embrace not only what was brought from our ancestors, but what actually happened, So, and we're not speaking about coming from a mode of hatred, because the prophet said when the Moors get on top, then treat the European nice. So this is why our principles are key when it comes down to doing the research. Because if you don't have the purity of heart and doing it in sincerity, doors are not going to open to you as readily if you're functioning from an infinite perspective. So gratitude more for calling me forward. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
Gratitude, and we give honors to you, Grand National Secretary of State, for that grand drawing. I mean, you couldn't have said it no clearer, than what it was and what it is and what it evermore shall be. It's a powerful measure brought forth from the treasures of our Father God, Allah, Islamism without the schism. And yeah, most definitely, some of our people are waking up, and some of them ready for this special truth. In fact, we can see in this new era in time, those who will come behind us also taking this work to the next level will most definitely have a clear conception of the work that they are too called to do as well. So Islamism without the schism. And Is our Grand National Chairman on the manifest Grand National Secretary of the State, Dr. Akin acting per M. Herut to the Common Bay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we hear you loud and clear with divine ears. I wish a member would.
Islamism without the schism. The rise to give praise to Allah and honor Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Say much honor to everything that Noble Drew Ali brought to save us as a nation of people with our own government, divine constitution, our own God, history, forefathers, everything. Man, whew. You know more, I tell you, I am so excited because this right here causes you to reflect back into the ancient and the wisdom that the prophet brought to us to save us, because the European had made slaves out of us. We ain't know no better. But now, I wish a member would. We are on top. And it's just an honor and a blessing more. And in fact, we start off giving praises, right? When you start your class, what's the first thing we want to rise? Rise from what? You must have fell off or something. And give praise to Allah and honor Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You extend much honor to Noble Drew Ali for everything that he brought to save us as a nation of people, our own government, divine constitution, our own flag, history, everything more. We got it made. Woo. Islamism, more, you're doing a great job. Islam, more, we love you. Peace.
Islamism, Chairman, man, we give honors to you as well. Because like we say, that study guide, that book of fire, man, it burn up falsehood, truth, root and branch. And ones better get their hands on that demonstration, and really put it in their mind, in their consciousness. Because, yeah, Chairman, you're right. It's a grand drawing to rise out of that shallow grave, and also look back and see that these people been doing this for a long time, and that's why they're so masterful at what they done. They mastered the ability of superimposing themselves in history, ransacking stuff that don't belong to them and stealing, and then gonna repackage it and give it back to you and say, look what we got. That's a terrible situation. And before we go to our Grand Sheik, I want to show our family a particular clip real quick and show you our people waking up. Praise be to Allah.
Commission is one of our young top scholars.
He is. He's an adept.
Reggie is running from my brother Commission. I love my brother Dr. Reggie. Smash is running from Commission. And y'all making up excuses, brother.
You're right.
You know?
And I see now. He has a saw on his side. We get it now. Like
Nah. He don't have a saw on his side. A saw is his own man. He's his own scholar.
No. Brother, are you trying to overtalk me?
No,
to
sir.
mask the fact that Commission and Asar totally agree with each other with the information.
But there's nothing wrong with that. You telling me you don't agree with nothing?
Hey, brother,
hold on, let me ask you a question.
No, don't ask.
Do you agree with anything of Commission or no?
Hell no, he's a bona fide dedicated pseudo. And anybody
you don't agree with nothing that Commission say. So listen, everything that Commission say, you saying is wrong? Everything?
Yep. Everything.
Damn, bro. Commission is one of our young top.
Can't hear you if you're speaking. Man.
I'm unmuting it right now. Thank you, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay. And what we were showing our family is that basically, our brother saw see the vision. We're gonna give honors to that brother too for allowing us to get on this platform. And he trying to give them, the truth, because he see what's being said. But he also told him following up in that, he said, I believe, I believe that Allah was in Egypt because it come up out of Egypt, because we was having that discussion as well. And so a lot of them are upset that the brother is so honest to where they turning against the brother now, but want to give honors to the brother for being on the front line, because that brother used to be out there in New York with pictures showing the depictions of our ancestors being pretty much hung. And I seen so-called black Muslims go up there and want to go to war with the brother and try to tear the pictures down and call the police on him, got him locked up and everything. He been out there pretty much, on the corner with the bullhorn by himself. He would approach the European because he was actually he was the leading head brother of the chapter under Khalid Muhammad, the Black Panther Party under him. And anyway, the brother basically ended up doing his work online. So the main thing is that the brother gave a platform where all of our people can come get insight on it. He had the Europeans on there and all of them on there demonstrating, so people can see mainly what's going on. And like the brother say all the time, he say, what's wrong with our people? He said, I used to think it was just our people, and we the ones, we the most powerful, and supreme this and supreme that. He said, but then I found out our people was an enemy against themselves. And that was basically the same thing me, the chairman, and everybody else had to realize, that all of our people don't want to be free. All of them don't want to be saved. And they'll fight you tooth and nail. When it comes to the brother say, ain't nothing I demonstrate wrong, but we got him on another measure saying, yeah, the brother right, but he be tripping. So, it's all right. We don't, we just put the truth out there. I put it that way, and the people getting it now. So, the jig is up. You can't try to play gatekeeper no more. They got it, and it's going to be somebody that get hold to the truth that's going to take it further than the way that I done brought it to the manifest, so to speak. I'm just doing my little portion in part. You know what I mean? I don't look at myself as the end all and the be all. So we just say gratitude, peace, love, and law at all costs. The more you know, the more you grow. And that being said, let us call forth our national grand sheik, Dr. Serapis Amin Ra'el. Islam. Islamism without the schism.
Can you hear us?
Oh yeah, yes sir. Go ahead, grand man. You got it.
Islam. I want to give our Father a lot of praise and highest honors to his love, thought, and his industrious ways. Our brother, man, and prophet, Noble Jew Ali, for bringing us everything that will set us free. Take it and run with it. Give brother high honors to our officials and our staff in this government, as well as our Grand Mufti, Assistant Grand Mufti Corps, divine ministers, student ministers alike. Everything, Morris, everything divine, and everything's on time. I'm talking about that word that's gone out, Angel, while you set it out here at the headquarters. Your voice is vibrating throughout the universe, and it's not what you call an old song. This is a new song and a brand new day. It's just being brought in a brand new way, being in the sense that the Moors have come into their own, and they're waking up here, there, and everywhere. And these Moors, we find that love is our key to give us the strength to overcome fear and any other type of rejection and attack or approach the matter of our to approach the matter of our adoration we're looking for our soul being a comforter in what we seek. And as our soul moves throughout the universe and gives us the ability to stand on our own as Moors Americans, we know we from the spirit. And that spirit that is within us gives us the ability to govern our soul. And to govern our soul is giving us the ability to reach out to our family across the universe. Now, it is a part of the human being, if you will, on earth to recognize that they have a soul. And the soul is a chamber of the spirit realm that gives one the ability to grasp the significance and importance of those things that are relevant. What has been discussed here as it is throughout the Moorish movement is the awakening of the soul, the aspect of one given the Corinthian and that aspect of truth. And it talks about that, and I'm glad you pointed one of that out, when he talked about where that soul power, if you will, within the context of what is being set out, is another beat of the heart of our people. You don't want your people afraid of you. You want your people to love you. And we have a lot that love us, behind, because we love our Father. And we father our brothers and sisters to a destiny that is not unknown nor uncertain. And we're fortified by that impregnable doctrine, built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And so it is definitely an aspect of one rising from with the pearls of ignorance to grasp the significance of those things that's going to benefit us as a people. And we see that everything is moving to that level where it's grasping the evil, but what about the good? And we possess that good. We operate and more or less motivate our hearts and soul to reach out and touch these things, our soul. And so this has been a grand presentation, as always, Sheik, and we appreciate you always bringing it out, just standing out there on the front line and giving the brothers and sisters a new wine, or that wine that is not new, but it's unfolding as we continue our mode of being aspect of the one who sent us to bring forth that measure. Much love to you, Angel. Peace, love, and love. Islam.
Peace, love, and law, and Islam to you as well. Sheikh, gratitude, grand man, for that grand draw. Islamism without the schism. Ooh-wee. Well, all right. Well, let us hear from our scribes. Islam on the way into the heights of divinity.
Islam. Go ahead, Governor.
No, I was just saying Islam, sister.
Oh, Islam. That danger near Curtis Bay. Wow. I just don't have words from this English language to describe how I feel right now and how much I have thoroughly enjoyed our class. And Dr. Shaheed, can I ask you right quick? I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say. When we're talking about the Rosetta Stone, right, and they're saying that it's a piece of another bigger stone. So my question is, could that stone possibly belong to you remember the people who I think you call them the Easter Island structures. Could that the stone, the original stone, could that be a part of that? Am I that would be far-fetched or whatever?
Well, the bigger part is the portion that they had on the top that they found. When you see it reconstructed in that one picture I showed you before, you know, and they got it scratched out. They scratched out a lot of that's the bigger part they talk about.
Oh, okay.
But they have many of those decrees that they actually passed out in different copies of the same decree that went throughout Egypt, you know, so to speak. So it was different copies of the same thing being passed around, but it was still created by the Ptolemies. But yeah, it wouldn't have no connection outside of that other than originating in 196 BC.
Oh, okay. I had the wrong idea in my head. Well, gratitude for clearing that up because but like you say, this has been a powerful class, and I just encourage our Moorish kin, especially those who are out there listening and who come from a background like I did, come from that Christian background and stuff of this nature. What I've noticed is the European, they have a pattern. And you can see the pattern. They lied to you about the alphabets. All right. They lied to us about Christianity. And like I say, they lied to you about your health and healing and stuff. So whatever, I remember I asked the question when I found out that they had lied about Jesus. I said, well, what else did they lie to me about? And I made up in my mind then, I say, if it comes from them, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. I will no longer accept them, what they say, as hook, line, and sinker, as that is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So how we used to say, so help you God, you know, I would no longer do that. I would start to do my research, and that's what led me here, where the great God Allah brought me here, right here, where I can be with like-minded people who want to know, who has been in this thing for a while, who are able to teach us. And Dr. Shahi, we give you honors for all that you do, and my national grand chairman and grand sheik, we give honors to you all too, and our chairman for writing that book. I tell y'all, if you ain't got it, get it. The Exhuming of a Nation, because what is happening now, we are being exhumed from that grave. We are being exhumed from that grave with these teachings that is coming forth. And I'm just honored. I give the great God Allah praises to allow me to even being born at this time. Not only to be born at this time, but have a mind to want to learn, to have an open mind, to not have I come with an open mind. I'm ready to learn. My mind ain't closed and shut off. Oh, well, you can't tell me nothing. No, my mind is not like that. I'm eager to learn. I want to learn. I want to know the truth. And the more I say that, the deeper the great God Allah take me into it. So gratitude, that's the Sister Grand Sheik, for letting me share. And like I say, this all our classes is good, but I tell you, I really had fun and I really enjoyed myself. Definitely got to go back, because all the stuff that I read and I come across, I just didn't have enough time to try to put it all together and to bring it to our Moorish kin. But I encourage our Moorish kin out there, don't just take our word for you. Do your research too. Don't let us just do all the work. Y'all research it also and see some of the things that we are talking about and all the information that's out there. So gratitude Gratitude, God man, for letting me share. Peace and love.
And gratitude and peace and love for all it is that you do, Goddess and Queen. You know, for everything it is that you've done and everything you will do. You know, praise be to Allah, Islamism without the schism. All right. All right, we got two more scribes. What have you brothers to say?
Islam.
Islamism, Brother Bati Bey.
Islam. You know, this is it kind of it's kind of, you know, jolting to the mind, but yet not surprising, and shows that who was the ones that were really putting in work, you know, when it comes to civilization and what it is, and even shows a contrast of what their form of civilization is and what our form of civilization is. And you know, it just, it tells me that believe, you know, really go into yourself, really believe in yourself, because the power is with you and your people. At the end of the day, our people are the one that created mathematics, all the sciences and things of that nature. So why do we look when our one of our own comes to us with information, we automatically want to push that like that's the falsehood, and we all automatically want to accept what's contradictory to who we are, what's contradictory to what speaks out to you, you know, and it only shows that if you know, it's like the guy that said, if they lied about this, what else have they lied about? What other things out here that it comes, and every aspect of society is showing that there's lies being propagated, there's indoctrination being had from those lies, and that they want you to get degrees in their school of lies so that you can go out here and be a certified liar for their agenda. Because ultimately, if the information not right, then the whole structure ain't right. And that's kind of saying that remind me, it's the prophet in the one, it says, if the prophet ain't right, the temple ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And in him saying, research, do what I've done to get all this information, research this information, and you're gonna see that everything I'm bringing you is right and exact. But everything that we've taught in the West is to tear it down. You know, and so thankful that we got a government, thankful that we got officials, thankful that we got our own flag, seal, and emblem to build us back up. And this is what we're doing here. And, you know, honest to all the scribes, honest to everybody who spoke before me, and all the ones who will speak after, and peace and love.
Islam, and honors to you for that special measure, good brother. You know, a most powerful blessing and lesson in that special drawing. Gratitude, my brother. Islam. But all right, Brother Marvin Nathaniel Evans Bay. Islam, grand man.
Islam, man, gratitude for calling on me. That's from Dr. Marvin Evans Bay out of the Texas Consulate. Praise and honor have been given. Man, I tell you, this is the most powerful class this morning, this afternoon. And I'm just so grateful for being here, for being a part of this process. You know, I think about everything that we've going on, and I give more honor to our National Grand Secretary of the State, because being a part of the tribe of endurance in this North American government, all that she's done over the years, and now she's leading us here in this class. That's our National Grand Secretary of the State. I feel so honored to be amongst our Moors. And, you know, everything that I learned, you know what I mean, every new revelation that I'm blessed with, you know, it causes me to be even more humble. You know what I mean? I'm developing that humility that's gonna help me appreciate my people where they are. I mean, when you don't know, you just don't know. I mean, that's not going to excuse you, even though the prophet said, I forgive you of everything that you did before you met me. Okay? Yeah, we can be forgiven, but now what you going to do? So, but then those that haven't even heard of the prophet of this Morris American government, you know, I mean, it's sometimes I speak to my people and I really feel so sympathetic towards them, but that's not going to help. You know what I mean? Because Allah is moving on and victory is assured. You know what I mean? So, like I say, it's so grateful. But another point that I wanted to bring up is that it is being revealed what the European has done. I mean, oh, 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 has that word? Oh, I can't think of it right now. You know, they do it outwardly. You know what I mean? Blatantly. You know what I mean? And because they think that we will be slaves forever and a day. But little do they know, Allah is the best of planners. You know what I mean? They make a plan, but Allah is the best of planners. And he knew just when he told the angels to prostrate before man, and he blessed bucks. You know what I mean? Because he, just like the European, he can't see beyond the physical. You know, he didn't know what was within us, but he knew that if he could take our religion from us, if he could separate us from our parents that would teach us, you know, and separate us from our creed, all of this. You know, I mean, that's what he figured out. He studied. He don't really know what's going on. All he knows is that don't let them think. You know what I mean? Prophet said if he could just get us to thinking, we could save ourselves. Just what we're doing in this Morris American government. And I just say Prophet is sending out a plea, a divine plea to his Moors. And I give a divine plea to our Moors that are online to get in this movement. You know what I mean? Proclaim your nationality. So this is the only way out of the fire. And I mean, there's so much more that can be said, but I'm just saying this. The more I learn, the more I know I need to learn. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just so grateful for having the opportunity to do so. Gratitude, God, man, and honors to you for all you do. You know, you work tirelessly. As I know that you've been taught by our National Grand Chairman and his tireless efforts in our Grand Chief in that Act 1. You know, and I say gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Peace and love.
Islamism, yep, it's just in us to be what's in us. That's right. We give honors to you, brother, for that special drawing. And I want to, before we go out, I want to bless our family with another drawing real quick here, a slight measure, and we going to close this demonstration out. And want to give honors to our family. Let me see here. And this is actually from that discussion as well with our brother Alsar Imhotep, the brother that the brother Aunt was just saying. Him and the brother Commission agree, so they want to attack Alsar because they feel like he agreed with me. And they think that we in cahoots. But me and this brother actually did our own independent research. And I want to give honors to him because we don't agree about the picture aspect, that he believe in the picture aspect, but what we do agree on, is the name Allah being in the Kemetic language and coming from that. And there are not many people that study the Kemetic teaching that will admit that, because they want to make those who deal with the Muslim degree enemies of Kemet. And so I want y'all to hear this brother's brief measure on his linguistic research real quick with the name Allah, and we're going to close it out.
Right. And so we can see these correspondences like Iru, a cut of meat, Jeru, a food, Iri, to eat, Irit, a crop, Irit, an offering, right? And so this grapheme that you see here is represents, it stands in the place of this hieroglyph here, which is a vulture glyph. and we transliterate it when we're typing on our computer with a capital A, but it's supposed to represent this grapheme here. But all that is equivalent, which we have found over time, to what we call a nasalized uvular trill. It's a type of R sound, right? So we don't have this in English. It's hard for me to pronounce it. So, my pronunciation is an approximation. But this is an R sound that you have in this second row here. So it's two different R sounds. And this will sometimes dub as an L on this side, right? So that's why this Eriet, milk cow, just becomes Eriet, Aeti, milk goddess, and then a milky fermented beverage in this extension here, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm showing you the different ways in which these two dialects in ancient Egyptian display the word. So there's that word iri, meaning to do, to make, to create, and then iriyit, a doer, or one or she who acts, and then iru, maker of, a trader in. And then in this form, it becomes an office, function, a rank, post, profession, a job, and then kingship, profession, and work, right? So there's semantic nuances depending on how you pronounce the root here. So this also dubs as to engender, to bear, ancestors and forebearers. Also old one, elder, senior. And so an elder is someone who came before. And I know there was a conversation that brother Sonetta was having with Q Butter on who's an elder, or who's elder. But an elder is just somebody who's older, significantly older, at least, saying by a generation or so, right? And but I also understand exactly what Q Butter was saying. So not to interject into that conversation, but I understand what he was saying. He was just trying to say that you weren't his personal elder, so to speak, because we all have our personal elders who can correct us and give us guidance. But you're just saying because you're older that you are afforded that elder title, and that also is true. So y'all both are right. But black folks, when we get heated. But anyway, I'm gonna digress on that point. But I'm just showing you again these particular correspondences, because this is going to be important, because that I or that J in the beginning is a diminutive form of the K. And so we can show this. So I have Middle Egyptian, Chiluba, Bantu, and then Middle Egyptian again, right, for these forms. So let's go to the top. So we have Kir, meaning to say, and then in Chiluba we have Akula, oral, Akula, talk, speak, utter, Mukalu or Mukulu, meaning language, and then Middle Egyptian Iri, meaning to recite. We have this word Kir, meaning works, Kirir, meaning powers, and then Bukole, power, energy, ability to make things happen, to do things. Now, keep in mind that this is the same root that gives us the word Inkole, meaning God or an eminent or powerful person. And so that same root is in Middle Egyptian in this dialect, Iri, meaning to make, to act, right? So this is the nominal form. We have the nominal prefix here, but that root Kole is a verb meaning to do, to make, to act, to create. So this is the nominal form, and this is the nominal form in this dialect. And we can go on and on and show here. So that's why the word for ka, when we say the ka, that's another variation of the word nature, because it's the word ka meaning spirit, or ker meaning spirit, and then bain kole, spirits, ghosts, and then this form here in iritiu, meaning divine beings, right? And remember, as I stated earlier, the word nature corresponds to Chiluba, Bukole, strength, energy, and in the sacred or whatnot. And these are the various different forms that we see here. So this KL in Chiluba corresponds also to Netcher, or the Chur in Netcher, as well as Kir, as well as Ir. So we're seeing that Necher, Kir, and Iri are all dialect variations. So this is how we know, and I hope I'm not going over everyone's head when I'm saying this. This is how you can tell the direction of the borrowing, because it comes from the Egyptian, but it more spoke when we're talking about El Allah, because it more so comes from this dialect. Whatever this dialect was, whoever these group of people were, are the ones who were moving into the Levant and gave them the word El Allah, meaning divinity and power, right? And to further bring this point home, and we're almost done, there's a text by a Japanese Egyptologist, Yoshiyuki Buchiki. And I know I'm saying that all kinds of wrong in Japanese, but please forgive me, all Japanese people. But it's a text called Egyptian Proper Names and Loanwords in Northwest Semitic. This text is very important because a lot of y'all who claim to be Hebrew Israelites, y'all have nothing to do with Africa and whatnot. Most of y'all are running around here with Egyptian names that don't even know. But that's another conversation for another time. In this text, he shows how on page 313 what graphemes in the ancient Egyptian correspond to the graphemes and sounds in the Semitic languages, and especially in the names that were borrowed from the ancient Egyptians. And so remember that nasalized uvular trill? This corresponds to the glottal stop in these. So this is Phoenician, and this is Aramaic, and this is Hebrew, Ugaritic, and Akkadian. It's lost in Ugaritic and Akkadian. It becomes a vowel in Ugaritic, but that nasalized.
If you notice how the brother did it, he's showing you how the Phoenician coming up out of Egypt. That's a key right there. We've been demonstrating.
Uvular trill becomes a glottal stop, and that J that we were seeing here in this word iri, meaning to make, to act, that particular sound corresponds to the glottal stop. And why in Semitic, Phoenician, and Aramaic, Hebrew, etc. Right? This is important to understand because it's telling us now. There were some other slides that I had that discuss this in more detail, but just know that the Proto-Semitic El corresponds with Egyptian nasalized volatrial. It would have to be these patterns given what we just seen here, and so notice that the trill or lateral, the R and the L in Egyptian corresponds to R and L in Semitic. So that's why we say that the glottal stop would have to correspond to the nasalized uvular trill, or the J, or this I or Y type sound in Egyptian, and that the L in Proto-Semitic corresponds to the R, or the nasalized uvular trill, because R in Egyptian interchanges with the nasalized uvular trill. And I also put the inverses here. So this will tell you that the L is going to correspond with these forms here that I have highlighted. So that's why in the table here, you see this word here for divine beings, because it matches the correspondence that we expect here. And it's also going to correspond with forms like this and like this. So this is the Egyptian origins of the word El, or Allah, or Ilu in Akkadian, for example. It comes from the Egyptian words meaning to do, to make, to create, to act, to take action, to achieve something, to prepare, to give birth, to engender, to cause. Here's that word Iru, meaning ancestors and forebearers. To cause, to give rise to, a maker of, a trader in, to act, a ceremony, a duty, a rite, rituals, rules. right? Creation, form, creator. This is a title. So this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the conversation, where I'm like, this isn't necessarily like a word for a separate deity. It is a word that is used to describe an aspect of deity. So that's why this is Iru here, meaning the creator, talking about the God Ra. Ir, creator God. And here's
See how he equating Allah and Ra as being the same? Ara, Allah, you know, Iru, Sekhet, Allah.
The source material. You can look it up on the TLA. So this is the origin of Allah, right? So Iri meaning to engender, to bear. Iru meaning ancestors, forebearers. This is how you would write this in the hieroglyphs, right? And then Iriwit meaning old ones, old experience, elder, senior. That's all you're saying when you're talking about in El Allah, in Ilah, right? And so independent of my analysis that I was able to do in the text, I came across this text here. This is Carlton Hodge, and in his essay titled Ilalim, in the book Afro-Asiatic Linguistics, Semitics, and Egyptology, Selected Writings of Carlton T. Hodge, right? This was published in 2004. He also compared il to the iri right here. This is this form here. So he, instead of writing the J or I, he just puts the glottal stop here, but it's this form here, meaning old ones, elder, etc. And we saw that it has some other forms that you can see here. Like, here we go. So this corresponds to the engender, the ancestors, forebearers, right? And so he states here that the assumption that il and elu are cognates presumes, so this is in the Egyptian, this is in Proto-Semitic, or cognates presumes a number of semantic shifts in the history of this chronomorph. Equals a formidable identifiable as the same through time. Okay. At any point in its linguistic history or prehistory, this word il in Allah, we'll just say Allah from this point on. At any point in its linguistic history or prehistory, it, meaning Allah, would have as semantic content a selection from a sequence such as ripe, mature, strong, older person, adult, old person, elder, deceased elder, ancestor, representation of deceased elder, ancestor, image, tutelary deceased elder, ancestor, clan deity, any spirit or deity or god, image of any spirit or deity, idol or god. He said, compare the meanings of Hungarian os. This word here semantically is equivalent to Allah, ancestor, forebearer, forefather, forebearer, predecessor, very old age, ancient, ancestral, primeval, primitive, primary, original, right? And so these are all the terms that you see here, but it comes from, it's better explained in Egyptian, because it comes from this root meaning to do, to make, to produce. That means to engender, to bear. And that's how with another suffix it comes to mean ancestors, forebearers. That's what it means to bear. Your forebearers, the ones who came before you and gave birth, created, made you, right? And so these other semantic layers come as a result of that. And that's why Iru. So when we're talking about il, Allah, Allah is an ancestor. And of course, God, everything emanating from God, that makes il, al, the ultimate ancestor, right? The old man. And so this is confirmation of my linguistic analysis. And we can prove this just using Arabic. So where this glottal stop is, this consonant, this corresponds to the W or J in the first consonant position. And then the L in the second consonant position corresponds to R or L in ancient Egyptian, and this nasalized uvular trill, which is a type of R. So when you have you know, and I know I'm going to say this wrong. E.A.R.S. This corresponds to were, cattle, bull, iriyit, milk cow, irirut, herds, flocks, cattle, animals. You know, Allah, to return, to resort, to bear a relationship as a member to a head. Iri, traveling, visiting, to revert. Iri, to drive away. Iriyi, return, come. Iyala, to shine, to sparkle, to hasten, to stir. Iri, sheen, shine, flame. Ilatu, instrument in general, to eat, or a small lance. And so the instrument being, you know, something that is made out of wood. That's why we call it a utensil today, right? It's made out of wood. So iru, kind of wood. Idiot, a tree, right? So we have in Arabic, Allah, or Allah, to swear. And then we have iri, to swear an oath in the ancient Egyptian. In Arabic, we have Allah, to give, to be able to. And then in Egyptian, you have iri, to do, to make, to create, to act as. Iri, to take, action, achieve. And it's from these roots here that we have the words for creator God, creator, ancestors, forebearers, and divine beings in the Egyptian. And this is what becomes Ilahu, God, in the Arabic. So the presence of this form in Arabic, Allah, or Allah, to give, to be able to, is further proof of its existence in, or is also its existence in Egyptian, because this is the word iri, to take action, achieve, prepare, treat, to provide, to donate, to appoint, ready to eat, right? All these different variations of this word are semantic expansions of this word here. So this word here, iru, is what becomes Allah. So when you say that Allah is in the hieroglyphs, this is what we mean. It's in several different forms. So iru, necher, and ker, right? And so necher and kole, the action generating principle, because iri comes from the root to take action, to achieve, to do something, to make, to create, to act as. Right. So this is how we define these terms. It's not mythical, it's not magical, you know, and this applies to human beings as well. So when you become strong, when you become powerful, when you become wealthy, when you become the president, the chief, the head, the director of something, you are an Allah, you are an El. That's why in the Bible it says, don't you know that ye are gods, that ye are the Allahayim? Because you have the ability to create, to do, to make, to achieve things. That's all this term means. And this term is old.
Yeah.
Because you can find it.
So yeah, our brother definitely gave a grand drawing on that special measure, you know, and we just give honors to the brother for bringing that wisdom forth in the way that he did it. You know, because this is what we've been trying to get our people to see. And it's good to have a brother that's strictly comedic to come forth with that same measure. You know, and in closing, we'll just show you this right here in comparison to what we had right there and what a brother was demonstrating as he did. And this is the measure we put out here a while ago, a few moons ago. But the general opinion of men never alter the nature of truth. So we can see the oneness in the truth when it comes to dealing with the truth. And so many of you Moors have seen this as we put it out here. You know, for example, even if we were to go into Tara, we know that Ta, you know, represents a measure that deals with an expression of creator, but we seen the sound shift between that and Dara and Zara. And the brother was talking about engender and creator, you know, but this can be Tala if you change the R to the letter L in the sound shift, or Allah, because Ta is also connected to Allah, you know, right there. We never put that in this portion, but as we go along down here in the same aspects of that right here, I got a couple of them actually where I had the pictures, and I actually went over.
Are you showing something other than?
Yeah. Let me. I thought I was sharing it the whole screen. I'm gonna do it again. Seem like when I go out of the presentation, it ain't doing it entire because I'm hitting the entire screen, and when I'm going out, it's not putting it up there. So here it is, right here. What I was just speaking of a few minutes ago, I was saying in relation to dealing with this word, you know, Tara. You know, Ta is synonymous with Ah as well. So Ara, you know, the L being there, you can see Tala or Allah, you know, but we have mainly the same thing. The brother was talking about seed, Adam, offspring, progeny, you know, engendering, you know, life and so forth. We know Allah is also at the level of DNA because we're talking about Yahweh, YHWH. That's another one of the names. Ohi, Yahuwah is the Arabic form. You know, we find that in the DNA. For example, another measure when the brother was speaking, and we went a little further along the way when we showed the concept. The brother say Allah mean old man as well, or when you become a ruler, you become powerful. You know, in other words, it's saying the great God Allah is working through you. You see? And right here, Al plus La. You know, we showed the breakdown in the Demotic language. We showed how the Arabs had took the glyph for the name Allah from the Demotic language. We see it right here. That's Ta, right there, standing in between the two pillars, the jet pillars, you know, symbolizing stability. So then this is the Allah glyph going right back to the Demotic, you know, and then we see it right here in this particular relic where it has the same symbol. See, right here, coming straight up out of Kemet now. So then when we come over here, we see this one that a lot of people like to, you know, try to assassinate the character of Islam and say, well, Allah comes from a moon god. Allah was a moon god. He was a lunar deity. And they have no understanding of what they're saying. Their mind's in the right direction, but they got the wrong interpretation based upon the bias that was put in them in belief system. So we see when we go back to this particular depiction here, you see this one is holding in his hand the eye of Ra. You see, and they would say normally, well, in their Champollion breakdown, this represents the Ah, the arm, the letter A. And if you look at this, if the Ah is here, and this is just hypothetically speaking, if we were to use their methodology, then you got the Ra here, and that's Ara, Allah. But really, we see the name down here for what's really represented, Ayah. Ayah is the Egyptian form of Allah. You see, this is the original origin, and this is where this word comes from. So it evolves into Ayah, Yah, which is another form when they say Yahweh, Yahweh, you know, Jehovah, and they say Jah. That's where that comes from, because the J is interchangeable with the I and the, you know, and so forth and so on. Then you have La, you know, and then when you add these elements together, like Allah, Ilah, Yalla, Allah. You see, this is one of the words that the brother actually had in his measure. You know, then you have the AHLA, you know, which is actually, you know, the comedic form of what they said that Ra went into. When he got tired of people being disobedient and hard-headed, it said he retired to the place known as Allah, the fields of peace. So this is why I say Allah represents a state of being, a state of existence, you know, as opposed, this is, you know, existing with the supreme being, or we would say through deific will. So Allah, you see, and it evolves all the way into that as this is actually the Hebrew version, Proto-Canaanite, Proto-Sinaitic version, AHLAH, you know, and I even had this in my particular Piscean record I got over here, King James. You know, that's how they spell it. And it said it represents God as the true object of worship, the one true God. This is in the Bible. They actually have this name here, you know. And so once you begin to look at the sound shift and you understand that, just like I depicted the way they try to demonstrate with and they say this means to give, you know, right up here. You know, the forearm with the pyramid, the same thing I was showing. This is another depiction of Aya here, demonstrating the same thing, same one that a lot of people like to try to attack, you know, Allah with, is actually showing the proof. And out of the document that we had dealing with Aliism that I had sent to the Moors a while back, this is an excerpt from it. It said, thus was it that the letter A became so sacredly associated with the idea of deity, who was himself called A, Al, or Allah. It says the generic supreme name of God as worshipped among the eldest patriarchs. The life of Allah or God was the life that the true Alias always desired to cultivate and lead. Hence, Aliism, or the life of God in the soul of man, was the most ancient mode of religion. So Aliism deals with the life of God in the soul of man. So this is dealing with the great God within, you see, coming from that particular text. And it shows also some of the words the brother was mentioning, and this is in the Wolof language of the Moors of the Mirror, you know, the Mir and the Sedra people, who were known as the Saracens or the Saracens, our people, you know. And they said his name Allah is the name they use. This is prior to Islam, and it says his or her, it's to him, to her, it, they gave him, her, he gave it to him, you know. So this goes back to the measure to give that we demonstrated up here, also as a representation of that name, Allah. See, the arm with the pyramid, you know. So last but not least, we showed also the interchangeable expression between the letter R and the letter L, just like the brother was demonstrating. So we see the connection between Ara, Ara, Eru, Sekhet Aru, that's that garden. Allah, same measure. You see? So, I mean, the general opinion of men would never alter the nature of the truth. There it is right there. When the brother was talking about Iru, you know, and they changed the A into the I and then to the J, and how he was demonstrating that, because that J is interchangeable with Y. But this is just another way of saying it. Eru, right? This is the garden that Ra was said to retire into. You see, or go into after man was being disobedient. Same thing down here. See where it says the field of reeds, the name of a celestial city. And I showed again how the R was interchangeable here. And then I go into this particular area here, and I always point this out because this is important. This is another picture of Aya here. You see, this is the old man, depiction of the old man again. And then when you see it means to rejoice. You see, they also have the breakdown of as it relates to the Coptic version. And this is Allah, as I showed it to you a few minutes ago. Allah. And they tell you the variations of the field of peace and the plains of peace and the religion of the ancient Egyptians. Allah, the field of peace. So when you go into a state of peace and you are in that field of peace, like the Quran say, come unto me, soul that is well pleased, the soul is at rest, then you are in the presence of the great God. This is linking your will up with the deific will. The field of peace is also known as Sekhet Aru, or what we call third heaven. See, within your adept chamber, above your neck. This is where you really meet the great God, right? So it says, was the field of peace and peacefulness reserved for the souls of the redeemed. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said he came to redeem the Moors from their sinful ways. So when you are redeemed, he take you up above the sun, moon, and stars around the almighty throne of Allah, and you become one. Now you are in a real state of Islamism. Not studying peace, you have become peace because you are now within the field of peace. Your mindset is peace. Everything you demonstrate. You see? So it says also it was located in one of the 4 sections of Amenti, the underworld, which is really the upper world. It says, in other words, that which is under the manifest. When it says underworld, you see that which goes beyond the flesh to within you. You see, everything else is the outer world, but the underworld, you know, represents going within the self. It ain't got nothing to do with the lower self, you know, not at least coming from our ancestors. It says, similar to the Elysium fields of Greek mythology, here the god Heru or Horus dwelled, waiting the time for his return to the earth, when he would reestablish the ring of the gods and restore the world to its original glory. So you see me show the sound shift here, just like the brother was doing with his measure, but this is the way I was demonstrating it. Alu and Aru. You know, you can see the obvious measure. And then we understand that the Sufis are the one who obtained this knowledge and brought it forth to us in this new era and time, as far as what Allah really represents. You know, how it represents that state of being. Right here, A'ul. And if you see, we changed the R to the letter L. A'ul-ah. A'ul-ah. When you bring it together and you have a contraction here. But it says the Sufi adepts teach that the Alullah and their status, sometimes the physical or external body, which is called Zahir, right? The external. It says of the Alullah is so weak that even if a mosquito were to bite them, they would be distressed and disturbed. However, their internal condition, that's that underworld, the batin, is in such that it contains the 7 heavens within itself. Therefore, one cannot truly estimate the power and the vastness of the internal condition of the batin of the Alullah. In terms of the level of their physical beings, they are with the rest of creation on the plane of things made manifest. But in the terms of the level of their souls, they are constantly in the presence of Allah. So why then would their souls not be able to encompass the 7 heavens? The average intellect is not capable of truly recognizing the status, position, states, and conditions of those that are in the proximity of Allah. In other words, those who have linked their will up with the deific will. The average person dealing with carnal mind can't comprehend that. And that's why we have to be taught how we fail, right? And then even here's a glyph from Horapollo. This was his depiction of the 5-pointed star, what is known as the Seba, which is also a symbol of what we call instruction. You know, the Saba'ite teaching, the Saba'ite teaching. It's love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, a harmony, truth, balance, right, order, and justice, and Kemet. It says, this is what Horapollo said. He said, when they would symbolize the mundane god or fate or the number 5, they depict a star and they used it to denote God, Allah, right? It states, because the providence of God maintains the order by which the motion of the stars in the whole universe is subjected to his government. For it appears to them that without a God, nothing whatsoever could endure. And they symbolize it by fate, creative fate, right? Because even this is regulated by the disposition of the stars and also the number 5. Because through, Paul said, though there are multitudes of stars in heavens, 5 of them only by their motion perfect the natural order of the world. This is basically a summing of a nutshell, the way the chairman has broke down the 5-pointed star in the Book of Fire, the exhuming of a nation. You know, and I went further into this drawing and went into some papyri, because there's actually a papyri that goes into this, and we have it here, you know, mention of it anyway. But I said the ancient Egyptians of the origins of making dua to Allah. A lot of people don't know we say dua. Dua means supplication, but duat also means to praise. It means to adore, adoration. But duat also is connection to what we call the cosmology of ancient Kemet. You know, the duat is depicted here. You see, and I said the image above is from plates 1 and 2 of the Ani Sheft or papyrus of Ani. Ani was a scribe who died in ancient Kemet approximately 3,300 years ago. This Sheft or papyrus was found in his tomb. And if you look here, you see how I broke all the elements down. And this is dealing with recognizing people, places, and things. Not looking at these as alphabets. So this is one giving honors to the Dua. Making Dua, right? This is the same star giving honors and homage to the principles of harmony, truth, balance, right, order, and justice, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice is what we call it. So we see the sacred scroll behind this special one. Then you see what is known in most cases as a necher. We see the symbols that are being demonstrated. We showed you how they depict this in the aspect and say, that's not an alphabet. That's an actual expression of a thing. It's not strange because in the Arabic, they refer to the arm, in Hebrew, they use the term yada, a yada as well. So you see and then you see Ra depicted here. Not a letter, but actual Ra that represents the sun. La, we know this comes from hieratic and hieratograms when it comes to the express measures. But pictures were superimposed. So we see Allah or Ara. So this is dua being made to Allah, Ara. You see? So it says dua Allah, Allah. See how I spelled it here from the Kemetic? Praises be to Allah. So I just read to you about Heru being here, and this is what I was speaking of earlier when I said Alu. This is another form of it. Variations of the field of Alu. Remember the brother was talking about Aru? If you had an R here, this would be that. Or if you put the I here or the J here, Iru, Aru. Same thing the brother was just giving. So it says the field of Aru, according to ancient Egyptian legend, known as the destruction of mankind, which was first discovered in the tomb of Seti. It says, Seti I. He, God Ra, tired of ruling over disobedient people of the earth, retired to the sky, where he created for himself a place to dwell and rule over. There he created a great field of rest, Allah. See? And the great field for growing crops, the field of Alu. The book of the dead describes, it says that upon the death of the human body, it is the location of the newly formed soul, and it is here they will spend their time harvesting the divine crops, being one in Allah, one with Allah in their sacred garden. See, the field is surrounded by a wall of iron. See there? Wall of brass, which is many doors, the gateways, right? It is traversed by a river, and the barley grows at a height of 7 cubits. That number 7, right? Alu has also been compared to the Elysium fields in Greek mythology, meaning in Greek mythology, this is their version of paradise. They call it the Elysium fields. But you can also see Allah at the root of the Eli, aspect of that. So this is coming from the source of Broderick Concise Dictionary of Egyptian Archaeology, in the book of Well 9, there, the book of Well 9. And so when we say these things like, arm, leg, arm, head, or the all within the all, all of this has to do with the self. I did the gematria on this demonstration, and it brought us to the heart. We say, where's the nearest place to meet him? In the heart. I also seen that when I added everything together and came down here to the fullness of the gematria, we came up with ayat. You see? So this is a sign that within the heart, that's the nearest place to meet the great God. In ancient Kemet, we say Heru Ami Abu, the dweller of hearts. Who dwells at the essence of your heart? You see? And we're talking about the seat of consciousness. And so we also showed here before, that Ra is the root of the Arabic word Nara. You see, Nara is where we get the word Nur, Surah 24 in the Grand Quran. And then this actually equals Ruh Allah, Ara Allahu, right? It says Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. And we always emphasize, what is the heavens? Above your neck, that's your God. What is the earth? Your body. So Allah within you is the light of your mind and the light of your body. You see, it states the parable of its light is as if it were a niche, and within it a lamp. The lamp enclosed in a glass, and the glass as it were a brilliant star. Remember, we just showed you in Apollo teaching, he talked about that star as a representation of God. You see, this is the niche, and you see the lamp within it burning through it, right? But it says, lit from a blessed tree, an olive, neither of the east nor the west. It says, whose oil is well nigh luminous, though fire scarcely barely touch it. Light upon light, Allah doeth guide whom he will to his light. And Allah doeth set forth parables for men. Allah doeth know all things. Lit is such a light in houses which Allah has permitted to be raised to honor. This ain't talking about no physical house. This is talking about the temple of perfected man. Lit is the light of Allah in the temple of perfected man. For the celebration in them his name, and in them he is glorified in the mornings and the evenings, again and again. Celebration within the self in relation to dealing with your 5 limbs, arm, leg, arm, head. That's where his name is recognized at, right? Alif, Lam, Alif, Ha. So, I mean, we can go all the way into India and show you how when you deal with the own principle that they say vibrate in the universe, the name Allah can be made out of that. When you go into the Hebrew right here, you know, and you flip that name Yahweh upside down, it corresponds with the Arabic name Allah. You know, so the creator is the same no matter how you look at him, but it's that our people have not known these things. See it again, the same measure here. Bring them close together, reverse the writing, flip it upside down, pull them together, and you can see the name Yahweh again being corresponding with the Arabic Allah. You know, so, I mean, like, you can't deny this type of stuff, family. It was right there in your face all the time. You know, but we got to look beyond the surface level. And just to get at those who think they Orthodox Islam, and this is what we're going to close out at these last, I got 2 more slides I want to show after this. This is important. This ain't stuff we just making up. This evidence is all over the place. This is a hadith. You know, it says, well, this is actually coming from, it backs a hadith that's coming behind it. But this is Ibn Arabi, who was a Sufi adept, presupposes the absolute identity of God and man. Al-Jili, which was one of his students, introduced a subtle difference between the basically God's and man's attributes. And he said, God made this name Allah a mirror for man. You know, we say we made in his image, right? Arm, leg, arm, head. Even in the Grand Quran, it say your 5 limbs will bear witness against you. So you are judged by what you do, by the way you walk, by the way you move, what you do with your hands. You know, the territories in which you tread. That's Allah judging you if you ain't careful. God made his name Allah a mirror for man, so that when he looks in it, he knows the true meaning of God was, and there was naught beside him. And in the moment, it is revealed to him that his hearing is God's hearing. His sight is God's sight. His speech is God's speech. His life is God's life. His knowledge is God's knowledge. His will is God's will. His power is God's power. And that God possessed all these attributes fundamentally. And then he knows that at the aforesaid qualities are borrowed and metaphorically applied to himself, whereas they really belong to God. So this is why we say Allah speaks to man through man. When we look into the face of man, we look into the face of Allah when he's in a God state. So the corresponding hadith to this is what Muhammad is said to have said. And remember what I told y'all about Sahih or sound hadiths. It said Allah, the Most High, says he is hostile who is hostile, pardon self, to a friend or a wali of mine. This is what Allah is saying. I declare war against, right? He's saying he declared war against one who shows hostility to one of his friends, his wali, somebody that he favors. He says, my slave approaches me, it says, with nothing more beloved to me than what I have made obligatory for him. And my slave keeps drawing nearer to me. He ain't talking about slave like obey your master. It's saying one who is serving the creator. So he says that my slave keeps drawing nearer to me with voluntary works until I love him. And when I love him, I am his hearing in which he hears, his sight with which he sees. That's the head, right? His hand with which he seizes, his foot with which he walks, right? That's the arm and the legs, right? If he asks me, I will surely give to him. And if he seeks refuge in me, I will surely protect him. So you seek refuge within Allah that is within the higher self from everything that is of the lower self. See, this is stuff the Arabs ain't going to teach you. The Sufis will give it to you because they come out of Kemet too. But, you know, those who think that they orthodox and Al-Islam, you know, they're going, oh, this is not. But this is a sound hadith, and it was narrated by Abu Hurairah. You see, right here talking about arm, leg, arm, head. Allah working through man when he loves you. And Allah loves everybody in creation, but we got to come into a higher state of consciousness. And so I was saying the same thing here, you know, right here. I was showing our family this right here, the word Eloah, and this is my Piscean records I was telling y'all about. And they said that this word Eloah derived from the word Allah, the same word I pointed out a few minutes ago, you know. And I actually have a link right here where you can click it and it'll take you right over into the Hebrew, you know, and it shows that in the Hebrew the word deals with the name of God. In Israel right here too, they use the word Elah, but the E is replaced, well, the A is replaced by the E here. And if you go all the way down into this particular measure, you'll see it saying it all over the place, you know, to any god or man. So we can see he made it applicable as also being attributed to a relation to man, to any god, man within, you know. So that's a powerful drawing in and of itself as well, family. I mean, it's too much evidence out here for our people to be able to just try to deny this stuff. You know, it's just too powerful, family. You know, even understanding law, and it relates to the seven and the seven eyes of Allah, you know, the rules of the globe. And this is coming from the book of you know, what we call the language, Sinza. It deals with the language of Sinza, the great spiritual being La, who rules our globe. The fourth is the servant of the Lord of the seven, and the seven drive the chariots, it says, of the planets around the shining eye of the sun, who is symbolic of the spiritual body of the Logos. The rays of the sun give life to the seven planets. From the sun came life, which animated the first globe of our world chain. So we can see the connection of the Ra aspect being brought there. We can see the Elohim, the Logos being spoken of there. And last but not least, here it is again. When you look at that word Yahweh, spelled backwards, it's actually Huhi. Huhi is another word in ancient Kemet that connects to the name Yahweh, Yahweh, or Yahuwah in the Arabic. Like when you understand linguistics, you see the ties, family. See right here, Aya, again, Jah, the great. We talked about that. Again, they use the term moon here. Ahu, the gods who measure the lives of the immense. You know, Ahu, limbs, member, flesh and body. We just talked about arm, leg, arm, head. You know, showing it to you now in the Proto-Sinaitic, Proto-Canaanite. Aya, right here in the Hebrew. You know, Aya, which means limbs, members. Ha, which is another name of the Most High as well. You know, and again, right there, the secret to invoking the angelic powers and the key to the apocalypse. You know, and then it goes again. Aha, right? Ahat, flesh, arms. Aha, to rejoice. right? Aya, right? Rejoice, acclaim. So man, this is just powerful. This is powerful, family. It ain't strange that every one of these different names, whether Hebrew or Arabic, you can form, a depiction of man. So man is made in the image of the creator. His signature is in man, on man, all over the place, arm, leg, arm, head. So we just say gratitude, family. It don't get no plainer than that. I just wanted to add all that there to, the discussion, because it shows the unity of people being able to do research and also come into the oneness, of this. So this is grand, family. With that being said, I want to say gratitude and turn it over into the hands of our goddess and queen, Sister Curta Bay. A powerful measure, guys. Islam.
Islam. Well, family, it's that time. January 15, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by the order of Prophet Noble Jew Ali. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortune of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting has been officially adjourned according to Act 2, Love, Truth, Peace, Freedom, and Justice. Go in peace, Moors. Islam. Great class.
Great class. Gratitude, family.
Gratitude, family.
Islam, boys, we love you.
Love y'all too.
Love you more.
Great class.
Love. See you Moors in Sunday school. Which the guides and the guiders of the nation arrive in the arm header. And I mean
Praise Allah, family.
Love, Moors. We want to give honor
Peace
to
and
our
love.
family. Checking in as well. Who it was? All the brothers. Cameron, Man Bay, all y'all, Yakub, Gamma Bay, who else? Butt Naked Truth, goodness gracious. Fest Dre Theo, I think that's the brother name. Honors to you as well. Gabriel from London. London, we give honors to you for checking in, looking at us all the way over here in the West. Born Dog, we give honors to you too. It's a powerful measure. Gratitude, Islamism without the schism, and I agree with our brother. The brother says, I hate all the drama. Let's stick to the information, stay away from personal attack. I agree with that. And in most cases, you see they like to attack the truth, but they never have nothing to back it up. And also, I like the brother said, he said, I'm sure a lot of people in Kemet don't like this info. And that's because we have been misled by the West, but that's good too. But we love y'all, family. Peace and love. Check
Peace and
in
love.
again, because we're going to keep it coming.
Islam.
Go into the Coptic now, family. We reach the 7, and then we're gonna keep it in rotation, that Rotarian complexion. We coming back around again. We getting stronger as we move on.
Yes, sir.
The staying power determines the saving power. Islam. Islam, Moors.
Islam.
Peace and love.
We love you.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.